Hey guys, tonight we're diving into one of the most fascinating aspects of ancient Roman life, their elaborate bathing culture. Forget everything you know about quick showers or simple tubs. The Romans transformed washing into an all-day, social event, seamlessly blending hygiene, leisure, business, and even intellectual pursuits. These weren't just places to get clean. They were the ancient equivalent of modern-day spas, gyms, community centers, and even shopping malls, all rolled into one magnificent complex. The largest bathhouses could accommodate thousands of people at once, featuring towering ceilings, intricate mosaics, and pools ranging from icy cold to steaming hot. What's truly remarkable is their accessibility. For just a tiny coin, sometimes even free, everyone from senators to slaves could enjoy these luxurious facilities. The experience followed a meticulously designed sequence that modern wellness centers would envy. Start with exercise, progress through increasingly hotter rooms, get scraped clean with special tools, socialize with friends, perhaps enjoy some food, and leave feeling completely rejuvenated. The engineering behind these structures was centuries ahead of its time, utilizing underground furnaces to heat the floors and walls through an ingenious system called hypocaust. Walking into one of Rome's grand bath complexes was an experience designed to overwhelm the senses in the best possible way. The largest thermae, like the famous baths of Caracalla or Diocletian, covered areas equivalent to several city blocks, featuring not just bathing facilities, but also gardens, libraries, lecture halls, and even stadiums. The moment you entered, you'd be struck by the sheer grandeur. Soaring arches, sparkling marble floors, and sunlight streaming through high windows, illuminating the steam rising from various pools. The typical bathing ritual followed a carefully choreographed sequence that modern spas still emulate in many ways. You'd begin in the palaestra, exercise yard, to work up a sweat, then progress through the frigidarium, cold room, tepidarium, warm room, and finally the intensely hot caldarium. Along the way, you might stop for a massage, have your skin scraped clean with a strigil, or simply relax on heated marble benches. The social aspect was just as crucial as the cleansing. These were places to see and be seen, where politicians networked, philosophers debated, and friends caught up on gossip. The engineering behind maintaining these massive complexes was nothing short of revolutionary for its era, with sophisticated heating systems and aqueducts delivering millions of gallons of fresh water daily. Perhaps most impressively, these bathhouses became microcosms of Roman society itself, hierarchical yet inclusive, practical yet luxurious, and always focused on both physical and mental well-being. Your first stop in the Roman bathhouse was the bedtime, the changing room that served as your transition point from the outside world into this steamy sanctuary of relaxation. Unlike modern locker rooms with their metal lockers and combination locks, Roman changing rooms were often grand spaces with tiered shelves or niches where bathers would leave their belongings, relying either on trust, paid attendants, or personal slaves to guard their possessions. This was where social hierarchies momentarily blurred as everyone, from wealthy patricians to humble laborers, stripped down to nothing, leaving their status symbols folded on the shelves. The wealthiest Romans might arrive with an entourage carrying their bathing essentials, scented oils, strigils for scraping, and plush towels, transforming the simple act of undressing into a display of status. The atmosphere was lively, yet relaxed, with bathers chatting as they prepared for the ritual ahead, perhaps doing some light stretching or applying preliminary oils to their skin. The design of these spaces showed remarkable attention to comfort and practicality, with heated floors to keep bare feet warm and clever lighting that created a soothing ambience. For many Romans, this moment of shedding their outer garments represented more than just preparing to bathe. It was a symbolic shedding of daily worries and social pretenses, a transition into a space where the primary concerns were relaxation and rejuvenation. The bedtime set the tone for the entire bathing experience, easing visitors into the ritual through its combination of practical function and psychological preparation. After leaving the changing room, bathers would typically encounter the frigidarium, a large hall featuring a cold plunge pool that served as both a physical and mental wake-up call. The shock of stepping into icy water after the warmth of the apoditarium was intense but invigorating, with Romans believing this alternating of hot and cold treatments benefited both circulation and overall health. These cold rooms were often architectural showpieces, with domed ceilings, marble columns, and intricate mosaics depicting sea creatures or water deities to enhance the aquatic atmosphere. The pools themselves could be quite deep, requiring bathers to fully immerse themselves, and the water was often sourced from cold springs or even chilled with snow during winter months. While some bathers would take a quick dip and move on, others lingered, enjoying the refreshing contrast and the opportunity to socialize in this spectacular setting. The acoustics of these grand spaces amplified the sounds of splashing water and lively conversations, creating a vibrant atmosphere. For modern visitors to Roman bath ruins, it's often the frigidarium that best preserves the original grandeur, with its massive scale and elegant proportions, giving us a glimpse of how impressive these spaces must have been in their heyday. This initial cold plunge wasn't just about cleanliness, it was a ritual of renewal, a symbolic washing away of the grime of daily life before proceeding to the more intense heat treatments. From the bracing cold of the frigidarium, bathers would transition to the tepidarium. The tepidarium was a warm room that served as the perfect intermediate zone between temperature extremes. This space was all about gradual acclimatization, with its gently heated air and subdued lighting, creating an atmosphere of tranquil relaxation. The warmth came from the same hypocaust system that heated the entire complex, but here it was modulated to provide just enough heat to relax muscles without causing discomfort. The tepidarium was typically less crowded than other areas, as many bathers moved through it quickly on their way to hotter rooms, but those who lingered found it ideal for quiet conversation or meditation. The benches were heated to just the right temperature, warm enough to soothe but not so hot as to burn, and the air carried subtle scents of the oils and perfumes used by other bathers. This was often where attendants would begin the cleansing process, applying olive oil to the skin in preparation for later scraping. The architecture of these rooms tended to be more intimate than the grand frigidarium, with lower ceilings and softer lighting that encouraged relaxation. For many Romans, the tepidarium represented the calm center of the bathing experience, a place to pause and prepare both body and mind for the more intense heat to come. Modern spa-goers might recognize in this ancient practice the same principles behind today's thermal circuits, where alternating temperatures are used to stimulate circulation and promote relaxation. The climax of the Roman bathing experience came in the caldarium, the hottest room in the complex, where bathers would sweat out impurities in an atmosphere more reminiscent of a modern steam room than a typical bath. The heat in these chambers was intense, generated by furnaces stoked by teams of slaves and channeled through the hypocaust system that made the floors and walls radiate warmth. The air was thick with steam, carrying the scent of heated marble and the various oils bathers used to moisturize their skin. This was where the real cleansing happened. The Roman bathhouses were sophisticated social institutions that went far beyond basic hygiene. These grand complexes served as community hubs where citizens from all walks of life gathered to cleanse, exercise, and socialize. Unlike modern spas, they combined multiple functions, gyms, libraries, and entertainment venues, under one roof. The largest facilities could accommodate thousands daily, featuring stunning architecture with vaulted ceilings, intricate mosaics, and pools ranging from icy cold to steaming hot. Remarkably democratic, they charged minimal fees, making luxury accessible to everyone from senators to slaves. The bathing ritual followed a carefully designed sequence that modern wellness centers still emulate, beginning with exercise before progressing through temperature-controlled rooms. This holistic approach to well-being, integrating physical health, mental relaxation, and social connection, reveals how advanced Roman society was in understanding human needs. The imperial bath complexes showcased Rome's architectural brilliance. Massive structures like the baths of Caracalla spanned over 30 acres, featuring not just bathing areas but gardens, libraries, and performance spaces. Visitors entered awe-inspiring halls with soaring arches and sunlight filtering through steam. The Hippocaust system, an underground network of furnaces and flues, heated floors and walls centuries before modern central heating. Aqueducts delivered millions of gallons of fresh water daily, while advanced drainage systems maintained hygiene. The layout followed a scientific approach: cold plunge pools, frigidarium, to invigorate, warm rooms, tepidarium, for gradual acclimation, and hot chambers, caldarium, for deep cleansing. These technological innovations created a seamless experience that balanced functionality with opulence, demonstrating Rome's ability to merge engineering with art. The apoditerium, changing room, was where social hierarchies temporarily dissolved. Unlike modern locker rooms, these were elegant spaces with tiered shelves for belongings, guarded by attendants or personal slaves. Here, wealthy patricians and laborers alike stripped down, leaving status symbols behind. The wealthy might parade with scented oils and silver strigils, but all shared the same ritual of preparation. Heated marble floors kept bare feet warm, while soft lighting created a calming ambiance. This transition space wasn't just practical, it symbolized shedding daily stresses. The design encouraged conversation, with benches arranged to foster interaction. For Romans, undressing marked a psychological shift from the outside world's chaos to the bath's ordered tranquility, setting the tone for the rejuvenation to come. The frigidarium's icy plunge pools offered both physical and symbolic cleansing. Domed ceilings amplified the sounds of splashing water, while mosaics of sea gods enhanced the aquatic atmosphere. Romans believed the cold shock boosted circulation, a theory supported by modern hydrotherapy. Some bathers dunked quickly, others lingered to socialize in the grand hall. The water, often sourced from mountain springs or chilled with snow, provided a stark contrast to the heated rooms. Architecturally, these spaces were among the most impressive, with towering columns and reflective pools. For visitors today, the frigidarium's ruins best convey the bath's original grandeur. More than hygiene, this ritual represented renewal, washing away the grime of urban life before progressing to warmer chambers. The tepidarium served as the bathing sequence's calm midpoint. Maintained at body temperature, its gentle warmth relaxed muscles without overwhelming bathers. Here attendants applied scented oils before scraping skin with strigils, an ancient exfoliation technique. The subdued lighting and intimate scale encouraged quiet conversation or meditation. Unlike the bustling frigidarium, this space was designed for pause, with heated marble benches contoured for comfort. The air carried subtle fragrances of lavender and rosemary, enhancing relaxation. Romans understood the importance of gradual transitions, a principle modern spas replicate. In thermal circuits, the tepidarium wasn't merely functional, it was a sensory refuge where visitors prepared both body and mind for the intense heat ahead, embodying the Roman ideal of balanced well-being. The caldarium offered the most intense experience, a steam-filled chamber where temperatures reached 120 degree, 49 degree. Hippocaust systems pumped hot air through hollow walls and floors, while domed ceilings circulated steam. Bathers coated their skin in olive oil, then scraped away dirt with strigils, a surprisingly effective cleansing method still praised by dermatologists today. Conversations here were hushed, the heat encouraging introspection. The design showcased Roman ingenuity. Bronze vents regulated humidity, and strategic window placement controlled light. This wasn't just about cleanliness. The caldarium represented spiritual renewal, where physical purification blurred into mental release. Modern steam rooms and saunas owe their origins to these ancient chambers, though few match their architectural grandeur or holistic purpose. Roman baths functioned as the empire's ultimate networking venues. Politicians negotiated deals in warm pools, while philosophers debated near fountains. The noise was constant, splashing water, vendors hawking snacks, poets reciting verses. Unlike modern segregated spas, these spaces fostered mingling across class lines, though elites still flaunted status with lavish oils and entourages. The bath's decline under Christianity marked a cultural shift away from public socialization, a loss modern cities with their isolated gyms and cafes still feel. Yet their legacy persists in concepts like co-working spaces, proving the enduring need for communal areas that blend utility with leisure. The Roman bath model holds surprising relevance today. Their integration of exercise, hydrotherapy, and social connection mirrors modern wellness trends. The Hippocaust system inspires eco-friendly, radiant heating, while their democratic access prefigured public health initiatives. Most importantly, they recognized well-being as multidimensional, a balance of physical care, mental relaxation, and community bonding that our fragmented society often neglects. As we grapple with epidemics of loneliness and stress, the baths remind us that true wellness requires shared spaces designed for both individual rejuvenation and collective vitality. Their ruins aren't just archaeological wonders, they're blueprints for building healthier communities. The wealthiest Romans elevated bathing to an art form, with private bath suites that redefined luxury. These miniature bath complexes within elite villas offered all the amenities of public thermae without the crowds. Emperors and senators competed to create the most opulent spaces, importing rare marbles from across the empire and commissioning intricate mosaic floors depicting mythological scenes. Some featured technological marvels, like silver piping systems that sprayed perfumed water, or heated lounges with adjustable temperatures. Circular hot rooms with perfect acoustics doubled as private concert halls, where musicians performed. For bathers, while maintaining the traditional sequence of temperature rooms, private baths added extravagant touches: plunge pools lined with Egyptian porphyry, vaulted ceilings adorned with gold leaf, and mechanical fountains. The heating systems surpassed public facilities in precision, with dedicated teams of slaves monitoring each room's climate. These private retreats served as both status symbols and sanctuaries, blending cutting-edge engineering with unparalleled comfort to create the ultimate escape from Rome's bustling public life. Roman medical philosophy viewed bathing as essential preventative healthcare, centuries ahead of modern wellness concepts. Physicians like Galen prescribed customized bathing regimens, warm soaks for digestive issues, cold plunges for inflammation, and steam for respiratory ailments. The multi-stage bathing ritual addressed both physical and mental health through thermotherapy, hydrotherapy, and social interaction. Archaeological finds of medical instruments in bath complexes suggest they functioned as early wellness clinics. The Romans intuitively understood benefits modern science now confirms: improved circulation from temperature variation, stress reduction through relaxation, and immune system benefits from regular sweating. Their mens sana in corpore sano philosophy manifested in bathhouse design, with abundant natural light and beautiful spaces to elevate mood. The rhythmic progression through temperature rooms created a meditative experience, while massage and skincare promoted body awareness. Even their approach to mental health was progressive, with baths serving as sanctioned spaces to decompress from urban stresses. While some medical theories have been disproven, their holistic view of bathing as integral to well-being remains remarkably relevant to modern integrative medicine approaches. Roman bath engineering represents one of antiquity's greatest technological achievements, combining innovation with staggering scale. The Hippocaust heating system, hot air circulating beneath raised floors and within walls, remains the foundation of modern radiant heating. Massive furnaces consumed 10+ tons of wood daily in large complexes, maintained by teams of slaves monitoring intricate flue systems. Water engineering was equally impressive, with aqueducts delivering millions of gallons daily through precisely angled lead pipes that maintained consistent pressure. Roman engineers developed bronze mixing valves to regulate water temperature, and gravity-fed drainage systems that kept pools hygienic. Their concrete vaulting techniques enabled vast, column-free interiors that still astonish architects today. Standardized designs ensured efficiency across the empire. Whether in Rome's grandeur or frontier outposts, sustainable features included natural hot spring utilization and water recycling systems. These technological marvels operated continuously, for centuries with minimal maintenance, a testament to Roman problem-solving prowess. The baths weren't just luxurious amenities, but masterclasses in urban infrastructure, solving complex challenges of public health, water management, and energy use on an unprecedented scale. Bathing rituals held deep spiritual significance for Romans, transforming daily hygiene into sacred practice. Most bathhouses featured shrines to water deities like Salus or the nymphs, where bathers made offerings before entering. The ritual progression through temperature rooms mirrored religious ceremonies, creating sacred time apart from daily life. Natural hot springs were considered divine gifts, with curative baths becoming pilgrimage sites. Water itself was viewed as spiritually purifying, with each strigil, scrape and plunge carrying symbolic meaning beyond physical cleansing. Early Christian opposition to baths stemmed from recognizing their pagan spiritual roots. Curse tablets, found in drains and guardian spirit altars, attest to this supernatural dimension. The lares balnearis protected bath complexes, while patrons sought divine favor for health and protection. This fusion of practical hygiene with spiritual practice created holistic rituals addressing body and soul. The bath's decline under Christianity marked not just the loss of washing facilities, but the disappearance of meaningful daily rituals that connected physical and spiritual well-being, a dimension often lacking in modern hygiene practices. The gradual collapse of Roman bath culture mirrored the empire's decline, revealing their vital societal role. As political instability grew in the 3rd–5th centuries, maintaining complex water systems became impossible. Barbarians targeted aqueducts as strategic vulnerabilities, while Christian modesty norms discouraged public bathing. Without wealthy patrons or skilled maintenance, sophisticated heating systems failed. Once bustling bathhouses became quarries for church construction or simply crumbled into ruins. The Eastern Empire preserved some traditions in Islamic hammams, but Western Europe lost both the technology and social practice of communal bathing. This represented more than disappearing amenities. It marked the end of an entire social framework that had sustained urban life for centuries. The loss of bathhouse culture meant the disappearance of vital public spaces that had fostered community, hygiene and leisure across class lines. As knowledge of hippocaust engineering vanished, so too did the Roman understanding of public wellness as essential infrastructure. The bath's fate encapsulated Rome's broader decline. Once vibrant institutions that couldn't survive the collapse of supporting systems, leaving later generations to reinvent communal hygiene practices centuries later. Modern archaeology has transformed bath ruins into vivid portals to Roman daily life. Sites like England's Bath or Pompeii's Stabian baths reveal remarkably preserved structures, furnace room soot marks, bench grooves from strigil scraping, and lead pipe mineral deposits. Ground-penetrating radar maps, hidden water channels, while drainage excavations uncover lost artifacts from jewelry to medical tools. Graffiti preserves ordinary Romans' voices through jokes, love notes, and business ads. Experimental reconstructions, like Germany's working hippocaust model, test ancient engineering efficiency. New dating techniques trace bathhouse evolution, from simple facilities to grand complexes. Underwater archaeology reveals harborside baths using seawater cooling systems. These discoveries provide more than historical insights. They offer sustainable building lessons about passive heating and water conservation. Each excavation uncovers new details about bathing rituals and social dynamics, showing how different classes used these spaces. The ruins gradually yield their secrets, revealing not just Roman hygiene practices, but their broader worldview, where communal wellness, technological innovation, and social ritual intersected in daily life. Roman bathing culture's legacy permeates modern wellness practices more than we realize. Today's spa treatments, alternating hot-cold therapies, massage, and relaxation in beautiful spaces, directly descend from Roman traditions. Thermal baths worldwide follow the same principles with updated technology. The palestra bath combination lives on in gyms with adjacent steam rooms and pools. Cold plunge therapy's popularity rediscovers the frigidarium's benefits. Social bathing traditions continue in Russian banyas, Korean jjimjilbangs, and public pools. Wellness tourism echoes Roman travel to healing springs. Even small details survive. Oil skin treatments, light-filled relaxation spaces. Modern science now confirms Roman intuitions about cold therapy reducing inflammation, heat relieving stress, and communal spaces boosting mental health. The crucial difference lies in accessibility. Where Romans made wellness available to all through public baths, today it's often a luxury commodity. The most valuable Roman lesson isn't about engineering, but about treating public wellness spaces as essential infrastructure rather than indulgences. As modern societies grapple with loneliness and stress, the Roman model of democratized, community-oriented self-care offers timely inspiration for reimagining how we approach collective well-being. The Romans transformed bathing from a simple hygienic practice into a sophisticated philosophy of wellness that harmonized physical, mental, and social well-being. Their bathhouses were not merely functional structures, but carefully designed sanctuaries where every architectural element and ritual served a purpose in creating a transformative experience. At the height of the empire, bathing became so central to daily life that elite Romans might spend entire afternoons moving through a carefully choreographed sequence of activities, beginning with vigorous ball games or weight training in the palestra, followed by systematic progression through the frigidarium, tepidarium, and caldarium to stimulate circulation, and culminating in hours of leisurely socializing in richly decorated lounges. This wasn't just about cleansing the body. It was a comprehensive regimen for refreshing the mind through meditation in warm pools, rejuvenating the spirit through art and music performances in the bath's grand halls, and reinforcing social bonds through shared experience. Roman bath designers approached the bathing experience with remarkable scientific precision, creating multi-sensory environments that modern spas still strive to emulate. Architects positioned water features to produce soothing acoustic effects, while ventilation systems circulated perfumed air from burning incense and aromatic oils. The floors were heated to precise temperatures using hypercaust systems that maintained ideal warmth underfoot, and natural light was carefully modulated through strategically placed windows and reflective surfaces. Bathers would begin their ritual by anointing themselves with scented oils that opened pores, then move through rooms with progressively warmer temperatures before plunging into cold pools that invigorated the body. The experience concluded with gourmet snacks and diluted wines served in dedicated dining areas, completing a carefully calibrated journey that addressed all 5 senses and left participants feeling truly renewed in body, mind, and spirit. As Roman influence spread across 3 continents, bath architecture remarkably adapted to local climates and traditions while maintaining core Roman elements. In Britain's damp climate, engineers at Aquae Sulis ingeniously channeled natural hot springs into the bathing complex, creating steam rooms that predated modern saunas by centuries. North African baths featured innovative cooling systems with shaded porticos and clever ventilation that created natural air currents, while their Eastern counterparts incorporated Greek athletic traditions with wrestling grounds adjacent to bathing areas. Even in remote military outposts along the Rhine and Danube frontiers, bathhouses maintained the essential sequence of hot, warm, cold rooms, serving as both hygiene centers and crucial morale boosters for homesick soldiers. This flexibility demonstrated Rome's genius for cultural adaptation, whether incorporating Celtic water deities into bathhouse shrines or adopting Egyptian massage techniques. Roman bathing culture proved remarkably inclusive while maintaining its essential character. Bathhouses functioned as microcosms of Roman society, where strict but unspoken social rules governed every interaction. While theoretically open to all citizens, an intricate etiquette dictated everything from proper conversation topics, business was tolerated but crass haggling frowned upon, to appropriate personal space in crowded pools. Wealthy patrons displayed status through elaborate bathing paraphernalia carried by slaves, silver strigils, alabaster oil flasks, and embroidered linen towels, while poorer citizens might rent basic supplies from bathhouse concessionaires. The bath served as Rome's ultimate social leveler. Within their walls, senators and shopkeepers might share pools, their nakedness temporarily erasing social distinctions. Yet this egalitarianism had limits. Women were often restricted to morning hours or separate facilities, and elite patrons could pay for private suites when they desired exclusivity. Far from being solemn places of quiet contemplation, Roman baths buzzed with activity and entertainment. Philosophers held impromptu lectures in corner niches, while poets recited new works to captive audiences of relaxed bathers. Vendors circulated offering snacks ranging from simple sausages to exotic shellfish, and masseurs plied their trade in dedicated treatment rooms. The atmosphere generally remained convivial, though wall graffiti from Pompeii reveals complaints about everything from water thieves who diverted hot streams to their personal basins, to rowdy bathers who splashed excessively. Some establishments even featured small libraries or art galleries, transforming the bathhouse into a true cultural center where citizens could nourish both body and intellect in a single visit. Emperors and local politicians alike recognized the bathhouse's value as a tool of governance and public relations. Ambitious leaders built increasingly grandiose bathing complexes as tangible demonstrations of their generosity, with Trajan's baths covering over 25 acres and employing thousands of attendants. These imperial bathhouses became strategic venues for distributing free oil and towels to citizens, a form of ancient welfare that boosted popularity. Meanwhile, the baths' mixed-class environment allowed rulers to gauge public sentiment informally. Many emperors were known to visit baths incognito to hear unfiltered opinions from ordinary citizens. The bathhouse thus served as both thermometer and thermostat for Roman society, simultaneously measuring and adjusting the public mood through the provision of this essential service. The influence of Roman bathing culture persists in ways we often overlook. Modern spa treatments, from Swedish massage to hydrotherapy, directly descend from Roman practices, while contemporary wellness centers increasingly adopt the Roman model of combining fitness, relaxation, and social spaces. The Roman emphasis on public bathing infrastructure anticipated modern concepts of public health, with their sophisticated water systems foreshadowing today's municipal water treatment plants. Perhaps most significantly, the Roman understanding of bathing as a right, rather than a privilege, laid groundwork for modern notions of universal access to hygiene and wellness facilities. From the Japanese onsen tradition to the continued popularity of Turkish hammams, the Roman model of communal bathing as a holistic wellness practice continues to shape cultures worldwide. In our era of digital isolation and environmental challenges, the Roman approach to bathing offers surprisingly relevant lessons. Their understanding of the interdependence between personal wellness and community health seems remarkably prescient, as does their sustainable use of natural hot springs and careful water recycling. The Roman bathhouse model demonstrates how designed environments can foster both individual renewal and social cohesion, a lesson contemporary urban planners are rediscovering as they create new public spaces. When we visit modern spas or even enjoy a long shower, we're not just cleaning our bodies but participating in an ancient ritual that the Romans elevated to an art form. Their genius lay in recognizing that true wellness requires more than physical cleanliness. It demands beautiful spaces, sensory pleasure, and human connection, principles that remain just as vital 2 millennia later. The Roman bathhouse experience that we so often romanticize was in reality a monumental feat of human labor and organization, sustained by an intricate network of workers whose contributions have been largely forgotten by history. Beneath the soaring arches and mosaic floors, an entire subterranean world of activity hummed day and night to maintain the illusion of effortless luxury. Recent excavations have revealed that keeping a major imperial bath complex operational required a small army of specialized laborers, from the soot-covered stokers who manned the hypocaust furnaces to the teams of water engineers monitoring the complex aqueduct-fed supply systems. The scale of this operation was staggering. Analysis of fuel consumption records suggests that during peak seasons, a single large bathhouse could burn through enough wood to deforest several acres daily, requiring a constant stream of deliveries from outlying regions. The workforce was organized with military precision, divided into specialized units that operated like cogs in a vast machine. At the foundation were the enslaved furnace crews who worked in rotating 8-hour shifts in sweltering underground chambers, their bodies adapted through years of exposure to extreme heat. These men developed specialized techniques for maintaining consistent temperatures across different bathing areas, using a system of bronze gauges and adjustable flues that represented one of antiquity's most sophisticated climate control systems. Above them worked the aqueduct maintenance teams, whose understanding of hydraulics and sedimentation kept the water supply clean and flowing at optimal rates. These engineers developed early filtration systems using layers of charcoal, sand, and wool that could process thousands of gallons daily, a precursor to modern water treatment methods. Beyond the technical staff, the baths employed hundreds of service personnel who transformed the experience from mere hygiene to holistic wellness. The most skilled were the massage therapists, trained in techniques ranging from deep tissue manipulation for athletes to gentle aromatherapy treatments for elite patrons. Recent analysis of medical texts suggests these practitioners developed an early understanding of trigger point therapy and myofascial release. Equally specialized were the depilation experts who used everything from finely crafted bronze tweezers to seashell implements for hair removal, their services in high demand. Among Rome's fashion-conscious elite, the strigil bearers, often young apprentices learning the trade, perfected the art of oil application and skin scraping to an almost ritualistic degree, their movements honed through years of practice. The economic impact of bathhouse operations rippled across the empire, creating specialized industries that supplied their endless needs. Olive oil merchants maintained massive warehouses near major complexes, their products used for both cleansing and lighting. Perfume makers developed exclusive scent blends for different bathhouses, some formulas so prized they were kept as trade secrets. Textile workshops operated around the clock to produce the mountains of linen towels required daily, while ceramic factories mass-produced everything from delicate ointment jars to massive water pipes. Even the food vendors outside bath gates formed professional guilds to regulate quality and prices, their stalls offering everything from simple bread and olives to elaborate roasted meats for post-bathing meals. The human cost of maintaining this system was immense. Bioarchaeological studies of bathworker remains reveal the physical toll: spinal deformities from constant heavy lifting, lung damage from smoke inhalation, and repetitive stress injuries that would be familiar to modern industrial workers. Legal records tell darker stories still, of furnace explosions that killed entire work crews, of attendants scalded by burst pipes, and of the ever-present threat of punishment for even minor failures in service. The bathkeeper who allowed water temperatures to fluctuate risked public flogging, while those accused of permitting immoral activities could face crucifixion outside their own establishment. Female workers faced particular vulnerabilities, with legal texts and graffiti, both attesting to the dangers they encountered in the mixed-gender environment. Yet within this harsh system, remarkable stories of resilience and social mobility emerge. Epitaphs and legal documents reveal former slaves who rose to own bathhouses through careful saving of tips and favors. Skilled furnace technicians could command wages comparable to educated professionals, their knowledge of heating systems literally invaluable during winter months. Some physicians began their careers treating bath-related injuries before rising to prominence, while clever attendants used their positions to broker business deals and political connections. The baths became unlikely engines of social change, where strict class boundaries softened in the shared pursuit of wellness. The technological innovations born in these spaces revolutionized Roman engineering. Bath workers developed the first standardized plumbing systems, with lead pipes featuring uniform diameters and threaded connections for easy repair. They pioneered early forms of insulation using materials ranging from asbestos to cork, and created suspended boiler systems that prevented mineral buildup in hot water tanks. Their shift scheduling systems using water clocks represented an early form of time management, while their solutions for maintaining consistent water pressure anticipated modern hydraulic engineering. These innovations spread far beyond bathhouses. influencing everything from industrial manufacturing to military camp design. Today's wellness industry owes far more to these ancient workers than we typically acknowledge. Modern spa treatments, from exfoliating scrubs to aromatherapy massage, descend directly from Roman practices. The concept of professional licensing in personal service fields finds its roots in the bathworkers' guilds that certified skill levels. Even contemporary notions of customer service and discretion echo the unspoken codes that governed interactions between Roman attendants and patrons. Most profoundly, these workers established the enduring principle that public wellness requires professionalized care, an idea that would eventually evolve into our modern healthcare and hospitality industries. As we enjoy today's luxury spas and fitness centers, we're participating in a tradition of service and relaxation that these unsung ancient workers helped create through their skill, endurance, and ingenuity. Their legacy reminds us that behind every great cultural institution stand the ordinary people whose labor makes extraordinary experiences possible. The slow decline of Roman bathing traditions reveals as much about societal collapse as it does about changing hygiene practices. As the Western Roman Empire began disintegrating in the 4th–5th centuries AD, the elaborate infrastructure supporting public baths became increasingly difficult to maintain. Barbarian invasions deliberately targeted aqueducts as strategic weak points, while economic collapse left cities unable to fund the enormous quantities of firewood needed for hypercost systems. The Christianization of the empire accelerated the baths' decline, with church fathers like Jerome condemning public nudity and associating baths with pagan decadence. What had been a daily ritual for centuries gradually became a rare luxury, then a forgotten practice. In Rome itself, the once grand thermae were converted into churches or quarried for building materials. The baths of Caracalla became a medieval fortress, its marble veneer stripped away. The knowledge of Roman hydraulic engineering was lost so completely that when Renaissance architects studied the ruins, they couldn't initially comprehend how the heating systems had functioned. This wasn't just the end of a hygiene practice, but the disappearance of an entire social institution that had defined urban Roman life. The Eastern Roman Empire preserved some bathing traditions, which eventually evolved into the Islamic hammam culture. In Constantinople, modified versions of Roman baths continued operating well into the Byzantine era, though with greater gender separation and more modest decor. The famous Turkish baths of later centuries owe their basic layout, a progression from warm to hot rooms, to these surviving Roman models. Meanwhile, in Western Europe, bathing entered a dark age where frequent full-body washing became viewed with suspicion, associated either with dangerous heathen practices or immoral behavior. The medieval church promoted spiritual purity over physical cleanliness, and the once communal nature of bathing became fragmented into private, infrequent washings. For nearly 1,000 years, the sophisticated Roman approach to public health through bathing remained largely forgotten in the West, replaced by superstitions about water spreading disease rather than preventing it. Only in isolated places, like Iceland, where geothermal hot springs made regular bathing practical, did something resembling Roman bath culture survive continuously. The rediscovery of Roman baths during the Renaissance sparked both scholarly fascination and misguided interpretations. Early archaeologists studying sites like the Baths of Diocletian in Rome marveled at the engineering, but completely misunderstood their social function, imagining them as exclusively elite pleasure palaces rather than democratic public facilities. 18th century engravings of bath ruins often depicted them as fantastical grottos, populated by romanticized figures in togas, bearing little resemblance to the crowded, lively spaces they had actually been. The first modern attempts to reconstruct Roman heating systems failed spectacularly, with several German scholars' experimental hypercausts either not heating properly or causing dangerous fires. This period also saw the beginning of problematic appropriations of Roman bathing culture. Victorian-era bathhouses borrowed the aesthetics but imposed strict moral codes and gender segregation the Romans would have found baffling. Even the medical understanding of bathing regressed. Where Roman doctors had prescribed specific thermal therapies, early modern physicians often dismissed bathing as either a cure-all panacea or dangerous indulgence. Modern archaeology has revolutionized our understanding of Roman baths through remarkable technological advancements. Laser scanning of sites like the baths of Caracalla has revealed previously unnoticed construction techniques, showing how builders used different materials in wet versus dry areas to prevent erosion. Analysis of lead pipes has helped trace water distribution systems, while microscopic study of drain sediments has identified ancient parasites and bacteria, proving the baths were cleaner than previously assumed. Perhaps most fascinating are the digital reconstructions that now allow us to experience bathhouses as the Romans did, complete with accurate lighting conditions and steam effects. Recent excavations in London uncovered a well-preserved Roman bath complex, where the wooden water pipes still contained hairpins and coins lost by bathers 1,800 years ago. In Bath, England, archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar discovered an entirely unknown suite of rooms beneath the famous main spring. These discoveries continue to overturn assumptions. We now know some provincial baths had sophisticated water recycling systems, while others in North Africa used solar heating techniques the Romans never employed in Italy. The legacy of Roman baths manifests in surprising ways across modern global culture. Japanese onsen and sento baths follow the same progression from washing to soaking that Romans practiced, though developed independently. The modern spa industry's emphasis on thermal circuits directly echoes the Roman sequence of temperature rooms. Even simple pleasures like sitting in a hot tub or taking a steam bath are unconscious continuations of Roman traditions. More profoundly, the Roman concept of bathing as a right rather than a privilege influenced the 19th century public bath movement in industrial cities, when reformers built washhouses to improve urban health. Today's swimming pools and water parks inherit the Roman idea of combining recreation with hygiene, while luxury resorts unconsciously mimic Roman villas by offering elaborate bathing facilities as status symbols. The most significant difference is privatization, where Roman baths were communal civic spaces. Modern equivalents are often commercial enterprises. Yet as wellness tourism grows and public health experts reconsider communal bathing's benefits, we may be coming full circle back to something resembling the Roman model, a recognition that cleanliness, relaxation, and social connection are intertwined. Human needs. What can Roman bathing culture teach us today? Beyond the obvious engineering lessons about sustainable water use and passive heating, the baths offer a model for integrating wellness into daily urban life. The Roman approach was preventative rather than reactive, regular care for body and mind to maintain health rather than just treating illness. Their understanding that public infrastructure should nurture both physical and mental well-being seems remarkably modern as we grapple with epidemics of loneliness and stress-related diseases. The baths also demonstrated how architecture can shape social equality. While Roman society was highly stratified, the baths provided, however imperfectly, a space where different classes shared common experiences. Perhaps most importantly, the rise and fall of Roman bathing culture serves as a cautionary tale about how easily sophisticated knowledge can be lost when societies fracture. As we face our own climate and infrastructure challenges, the ghostly ruins of Roman thermae remind us that even the most advanced systems require maintenance, adaptation, and above all, a society that values shared well-being enough to sustain them. The next time you enjoy a long shower or visit a hot spring, remember, you're participating in a tradition that has survived empires, dark ages, and revolutions, a testament to humanity's enduring desire for both cleanliness and connection. The Roman approach to bathing represented far more than mere physical cleansing. It constituted a comprehensive social institution that seamlessly integrated public health, architectural innovation, and community bonding in ways that continue to resonate through the centuries. Modern scholars are only beginning to fully appreciate how profoundly these ancient practices have influenced contemporary concepts of wellness, with recent interdisciplinary studies revealing surprising connections between Roman bathing culture and today's most cutting-edge approaches to holistic health. The thermal progression system developed by Roman engineers, moving deliberately from the tepidarium's gentle warmth to the caldarium's intense heat before the frigidarium's invigorating cold plunge, has been scientifically validated as optimal for circulation and muscle recovery, explaining why luxury spas worldwide still adhere to this precise sequence 2 millennia later. This enduring legacy becomes even more remarkable when considering that the global wellness industry, now valued at over $4.5 trillion according to recent market analyses, essentially represents a commercialized evolution of the Roman philosophy that true well-being must address both physical and mental rejuvenation simultaneously. The architectural genius behind Roman bath complexes has proven equally influential, with contemporary designers continually drawing inspiration from these ancient blueprints while adapting them for modern needs. The magnificent vaulted ceilings that once soared above imperial thermae now find their spiritual successors in the grand atriums of today's most ambitious public buildings, from transportation hubs to cultural centers, all seeking to recreate that same sense of awe-inspiring communal space. Environmental architects have made particularly exciting discoveries by studying how Roman engineers achieved perfect climate control through passive systems, the strategic placement of windows to harness sunlight, the innovative use of double-walled construction for insulation, and the brilliant hypocaust heating methods that distributed warmth so efficiently. These ancient solutions are now being reimagined for sustainable building projects worldwide, with several prestigious universities establishing dedicated research programs to decode and adapt Roman thermal engineering principles. Even in digital infrastructure, the Roman influence persists. Modern water distribution systems still utilize pipe-sizing standards that evolved directly from those developed to supply massive bath complexes, demonstrating how thoroughly Roman ingenuity became embedded in the foundations of contemporary urban planning. Contemporary psychology and neuroscience have begun validating what Roman citizens understood instinctively, that their bathing rituals offered profound mental health benefits we're only now quantifying with modern research tools. Controlled studies demonstrate that the Roman practice of alternating between hot and cold immersion triggers beneficial physiological responses, reducing cortisol levels by an average of 27%, while increasing circulation in ways that combat inflammation, findings that explain why progressive thermal therapy has become a cornerstone of modern rehabilitation medicine. The social dimension of Roman baths proves equally important to contemporary understanding of wellness. In an era of increasing social isolation and digital detachment, public health experts point to the Roman model as an exemplary system for fostering meaningful community connections. Several European cities have launched experimental, social bathing initiatives based on Roman principles, reporting significant improvements in participants' self-reported loneliness metrics and community cohesion indices. Even corporate wellness programs are adopting modified versions of Roman bathing schedules, finding that employees who engage in structured relaxation rituals show measurable improvements in both productivity and job satisfaction. The commercial wellness sector has enthusiastically embraced Roman traditions, though often with modern twists that reflect contemporary consumer preferences. High-end spas now offer premium Roman experience packages that authentically recreate ancient rituals, complete with strigal exfoliation using reproduction bronze tools, herbal steam rooms infused with historically accurate aromatics, and massage techniques adapted from ancient medical texts. Meanwhile, the booming global sauna and hot springs tourism market, valued at over $60 billion annually, represents a direct continuation of Rome's tradition of destination bathing. Just as Romans once traveled to renowned thermal springs like Baiae, modern wellness seekers pilgrimage to Iceland's Blue Lagoon or Japan's onsens. Even mainstream beauty brands have tapped into this heritage, with several major cosmetics lines developing product ranges inspired by ancient Roman recipes for oils and unguents, reformulated with modern dermatological knowledge but maintaining the same holistic philosophy of skincare as part of overall well-being. Urban planners and public health officials are increasingly looking to Roman models as they confront contemporary challenges of sustainable development and community health. The COVID-19 pandemic particularly highlighted the enduring relevance of Roman approaches to communal hygiene. Their sophisticated understanding of water purification, ventilation, and crowd flow management offers valuable lessons for designing post-pandemic public spaces. Several cities have initiated pilot projects reimagining Roman-style public bathhouses as multifunctional wellness centers that combine hygiene facilities with social services, community spaces, and health clinics. Environmental engineers are especially fascinated by Roman water conservation methods. Their gravity-fed supply systems, wastewater recycling for floor heating, and precise temperature regulation achieved with minimal energy input present compelling models for reducing the ecological impact of modern spa facilities. A groundbreaking project in Hamburg has successfully adapted Roman hydraulic engineering to create Europe's most energy-efficient public swimming complex, reducing water usage by 40% compared to conventional designs while maintaining luxurious amenities. The technological legacy of Roman bathing culture manifests in surprising ways across modern industries. Biomedical engineers have drawn inspiration from Roman plumbing systems to develop more efficient fluid dynamics in medical devices, while materials scientists study ancient concrete formulations used in bath construction for clues to developing more durable modern building materials. Even in digital realms, the organizational principles behind Roman bath administration, with their meticulous record-keeping, shift scheduling, and maintenance protocols, have influenced the design of contemporary facility management software systems. The Roman emphasis on standardizing bathing experiences across their empire finds its parallel in today's global hospitality chains, where consistency of service represents a similar challenge at continental scale. Perhaps most unexpectedly, virtual reality developers are creating immersive historical experiences based on Roman baths, allowing users to explore meticulously reconstructed digital environments while learning about ancient wellness practices, a high-tech homage to this enduring cultural legacy. As society confronts the challenges of urbanization, environmental sustainability, and mental health crises, the Roman bathing model offers surprisingly relevant solutions that blend ancient wisdom with modern innovation. Forward-thinking architects are experimenting with neothermy concepts that update Roman principles for contemporary needs. Mixed-use developments combining geothermal heating, water recycling systems, and community spaces designed to foster the same kinds of social interaction that flourished in ancient baths. Public health initiatives in several countries have begun piloting bathing prescription programs inspired by Roman practices, where doctors recommend structured thermal therapy for conditions ranging from arthritis to anxiety disorders. Even in workplace design, elements of Roman bath architecture appear in next-generation office layouts that prioritize natural light, thermal comfort, and spaces for informal socializing, recognizing, as the Romans did, that human well-being depends on both physical environment and social connection. This ongoing rediscovery and adaptation of Roman bathing wisdom underscores its remarkable durability, not as historical relic, but as living tradition that continues to evolve while maintaining its core philosophy of integrated, accessible wellness for all. The Roman bath experience represented a meticulously engineered journey of sensory stimulation, where architects and designers employed sophisticated psychological principles centuries before they were formally understood. As bathers entered the grand complex, they were immediately enveloped in an environment where every architectural decision served both functional and emotional purposes. The sequence of rooms followed a carefully calculated rhythm, beginning with the bright, airy apoditarium, where sunlight streaming through high windows illuminated colorful wall frescoes, gradually preparing visitors for the transition from the outside world. The tepidarium's gently warming atmosphere featured vaulted ceilings that created a sense of protective enclosure, with acoustics designed to amplify the calming sounds of trickling water from ornate fountains while dampening external noise pollution. Moving into the caldarium, bathers encountered an entirely different sensory landscape. The air thick with herbal-infused steam, the light diffused through strategically placed windows to create a dreamlike haze, and the heat radiating from exquisitely patterned floor tiles that were warm but never uncomfortably hot to bare feet. This progression wasn't accidental, but rather a masterclass in environmental psychology, using space, temperature, and aesthetics to guide participants through an optimal relaxation sequence. The visual splendor of Roman baths constituted nothing less than a three-dimensional encyclopedia of classical art and mythology, curated to enhance the bathing experience. Every surface told a story, from the floor mosaics that changed patterns to indicate the ideal path through the complex, to the ceiling frescoes depicting celestial scenes that encouraged bathers to look upward and expand their posture for better breathing. The walls of grand bathing halls featured alternating niches containing sculptures representing health deities and mythological figures associated with water and rejuvenation, positioned at eye level to create a sense of being surrounded by protective spirits. Even the plumbing fixtures became artistic statements. Water spouts shaped like theatrical masks that seemed to speak as water poured from their mouths, and drain covers decorated with labyrinth patterns symbolizing the journey of purification. The lighting design was particularly sophisticated, with bronze lampstands positioned to cast flattering glows on bathers' skin while creating shimmering reflections in the water, enhancing the sense of being in a magical space separate from ordinary life. This overwhelming visual richness served a crucial psychological purpose: to overwhelm the senses just enough to banish outside worries while remaining harmonious enough to promote deep relaxation. The olfactory dimension of Roman baths created an invisible but essential layer of the experience, with fragrances carefully calibrated to each stage of the bathing ritual. Upon entering, bathers were greeted by the fresh scent of lemon and pine from the entryway fountains, known to have an invigorating effect on tired minds. The warm rooms featured more complex aromatherapy blends, earthy myrrh and sandalwood in the tepidarium to ground the senses, transitioning to floral rose and jasmine in the caldarium to encourage deep breathing and relaxation. The frigidarium's cold plunge was preceded by the crisp aroma of mint and eucalyptus, stimulating the senses to prepare for the shock of cold water. These scents weren't merely pleasant additions, but active therapeutic components, with recent archaeological evidence suggesting some baths had dedicated scent kitchens where herbalists prepared custom aromatic blends for different times of day and seasons. The air itself became a medium for healing, with steam rooms using mineral-rich waters that released beneficial compounds when heated, creating what we would now recognize as early forms of inhalation therapy for respiratory conditions. The tactile experience of Roman bathing constituted a carefully orchestrated progression of textures and temperatures designed to maximize therapeutic benefits. The journey began with the smooth coolness of marble benches in the dressing room, where bathers would first remove their outer garments and apply initial oils. As they moved through the sequence, they encountered an astonishing variety of surfaces. The slightly rough texture of pumice stones for foot scrubbing, the luxurious glide of warm oil during massage, the sudden shock of cold water in the plunge pool, followed by the fluffy embrace of freshly laundered linen towels. Even the flooring changed strategically. Abrasive textured surfaces near pools to prevent slipping, perfectly smooth heated marble in resting areas, and pebble-lined footbaths for reflexology benefits. Recent studies of preserved bath complexes reveal these tactile elements were arranged with remarkable ergonomic precision. The height of massage tables, the angle of headrests, and even the contour of handrails, all designed through trial and error to provide optimal comfort and support. This attention to physical sensation created a complete somatic experience that modern spa designers are only beginning to replicate with their high-tech equipment. The auditory landscape of Roman baths represented an early form of sound therapy, with each space featuring carefully modulated acoustics to create specific psychological effects. The Palestra's exercise yard featured lively echoes that encouraged energetic movement and social interaction, while the transition spaces employed sound-dampening techniques like curtained archways to gradually quiet the mind. The heated rooms used vaulted ceilings to create soft reverberations that amplified the soothing sounds of water, while blurring individual conversations into a comforting background murmur, an ancient equivalent of white noise machines. Some larger baths even featured dedicated musicians playing hydraulic water organs, or lyres tuned to specific modes believed to promote relaxation. The water features themselves were acoustically engineered, with different sizes and shapes of fountains producing everything from gentle trickles to cascading torrents, strategically placed to mark transitions between areas. This sophisticated sound design created an auditory journey that paralleled the visual and tactile experiences, guiding bathers from alertness to deep relaxation and back again in perfect rhythm. The social dimension of Roman baths created a unique psychological environment where communal relaxation became its own form of therapy. Unlike modern spas that often emphasize solitude, Roman baths thrived on controlled social interaction. The quiet conversations in warm pools, the shared laughter in cooling rooms, the respectful silence in steam chambers. This carefully balanced social ecosystem followed unwritten but well-understood rules of conduct that created a safe space for vulnerability and connection. The layout encouraged this social healing, semicircular benches that facilitated conversation without forcing eye contact, warm pools large enough for groups but with alcoves for privacy, and open-air gardens where bathers could gather after treatments to share stories and advice. Recent psychological research suggests this combination of social bonding with physical relaxation may explain why Roman baths were so effective at reducing stress. They addressed both the individual need for peace and the human requirement for connection simultaneously. Modern group therapy techniques and community wellness centers are only now rediscovering what Roman bath designers understood intuitively about the healing power of shared, structured relaxation. The legacy of Roman bath design principles continues to evolve in contemporary wellness architecture, though often without conscious recognition of their ancient origins. Today's most innovative spas unconsciously echo Roman concepts when they use curved walls to soften acoustics, or when they sequence experiences from bright social spaces to dimly lit relaxation pods. The growing trend of social wellness centers directly channels the Roman understanding that healing happens in community, while high-tech sensory deprivation tanks represent a modern interpretation of the Roman focus on controlled sensory input. Even in healthcare design, hospitals are increasingly incorporating Roman-inspired elements. Healing gardens with water features, art programs tailored to different patient areas, and architecture that uses natural light the way Roman baths once did to mark the passage of therapeutic time. As we face global mental health challenges and societal fragmentation, the Roman bath model offers timeless wisdom about creating spaces that heal not just individual bodies, but entire communities through carefully designed environments that engage all senses, foster connection, and elevate daily rituals into meaningful experiences. This 2,000-year-old approach to holistic wellness through environmental design may prove even more relevant in our digital age than it was in ancient Rome. The Roman bathhouse economy represented one of antiquity's most sophisticated and far-reaching commercial ecosystems, a vast network of interdependent industries and professions that sustained urban life across the Mediterranean world. Beneath the marble-clad surfaces and steam-filled chambers of these monumental complexes thrived an economic engine of staggering scale and complexity, one that would rival many modern leisure industries in its organizational sophistication. Operating a major imperial bath complex, like the baths of Diocletian or Caracalla, required logistical operations comparable to supplying a small army, with supply chains stretching across provinces to deliver the enormous quantities of materials needed daily. The fuel requirements alone boggle the modern mind. Calculations based on furnace sizes and operating hours suggest that just one of Rome's larger baths could consume over 3,500 tons of firewood annually, necessitating entire forests. Dedicated to bathhouse fuel and creating employment for thousands of woodcutters, cart drivers, and storage yard workers. The workforce hierarchy within bath complexes displayed a level of specialization that would impress modern human resources managers, with clearly defined roles and career paths that offered varying degrees of social mobility. At the foundation were the enslaved furnace crews, who worked in dangerous, sweltering conditions to maintain hypercoarse temperatures, their shifts carefully timed to prevent heat exhaustion in the underground labyrinths where temperatures could exceed 60 degrees 140 degrees. Above them, in both status and working conditions, were the skilled tradespeople. The plumbers who maintained the intricate lead pipe networks, the stonemasons who repaired heated marble floors, and the water engineers who monitored aqueduct flows with calibrated bronze valves. The service staff represented another tier entirely, from the lowly floor scrubbers to the prestigious unctors, massage therapists, whose expertise with scented oils and muscle manipulation could earn them celebrity, status, and substantial incomes. Recent archaeological discoveries of workers' graffiti and payroll records reveal surprisingly complex labor structures, including performance-based bonuses for furnace crews who maintained optimal temperatures and commission systems for concession. Stand operators. The procurement and supply networks supporting Roman baths created specialized sub-industries that perfected their crafts over centuries. Olive oil production, already a staple of the Mediterranean economy, reached industrial scales to meet bathhouse demand. Estimates suggest major complexes could use over 1,000 liters daily for cleansing, lighting, and heating. This spurred innovations in oil storage and transport, including the development of specialized amphorae with interior resin coatings to prevent rancidity during long shipments. The perfume industry similarly flourished, with renowned workshops in Capua, Alexandria, and Pompeii, competing to create signature scents for prestigious baths, employing complex distillation techniques that wouldn't be rediscovered until the Renaissance. Even seemingly mundane items like strigils, body scrapers, became products of remarkable specialization, with workshops producing everything from mass-market bronze models to elite versions plated with silver and engraved with their owners' names. The commercial strategies employed by bathhouse operators display a business acumen that seems strikingly modern in its sophistication. While maintaining the fiction of being a public service through nominal entrance fees, often waived entirely on holidays, bath proprietors developed diverse revenue streams that maximized profitability. Premium services like private suites with exclusive decor, reserved time slots with celebrity masseurs, or imported beauty products from the eastern provinces carried substantial surcharges. Concession systems allowed outside vendors to operate within bath complexes under carefully regulated contracts, paying percentage fees on sales of everything from simple sausages to exotic eastern spices. Sponsorship opportunities enabled local elites to fund decorative elements in exchange for discreet plaques acknowledging their generosity, an ancient form of corporate sponsorship. Some entrepreneurial bath owners even developed primitive loyalty programs, offering regular patrons discounted access to new services or preferred booking times. The economic ripple effects of Roman bath culture extended far beyond the complexes themselves, creating vibrant commercial ecosystems in surrounding neighborhoods. Taverns, food stalls, and full-service restaurants clustered around bath entrances to cater to bathers' appetites before and after their treatments, some offering special bathing menus of easily digestible foods. Clothing rental shops did brisk business with visitors who wanted to change into fresh garments after bathing, while barbers, dentists, and even minor surgical practitioners set up storefronts nearby to capitalize on the steady foot traffic. The more disreputable but economically significant sidelines, including prostitution and gambling, often flourished in bathhouse-adjacent areas despite periodic crackdowns by authorities. This commercial halo effect was so pronounced that Roman urban planners deliberately located baths in developing neighborhoods to spur economic growth, much like modern cities build stadiums or convention centers to revitalize districts. The industrial demands of bathhouse construction and maintenance drove technological innovations across multiple sectors. Brick manufacturers developed specialized heat-resistant varieties with higher clay content for hypercaust systems, while metal workers perfected lead soldering techniques for plumbing that wouldn't be matched until the 19th century. The glass industry flourished, producing window panes for bathhouses, leading to breakthroughs in transparency and size that later benefited greenhouse construction. Even the mining industry transformed to meet bathhouse demands, with Spanish lead mines and Cypriot copper operations scaling up production to supply pipes and fixtures. These technological spillovers created knowledge bases and skilled workforces that benefited other sectors of the Roman economy, demonstrating how investment in leisure infrastructure can drive broader industrial advancement. The collapse of Roman bath culture in late antiquity precipitated an economic crisis that modern historians are only beginning to fully appreciate. As aqueducts failed and heating systems became too expensive to maintain, entire specialized professions vanished virtually overnight, from the hypercaust engineers who understood airflow dynamics to the unctor trainers who had passed down massage techniques for generations. The ripple effects devastated supporting industries. Olive oil prices plummeted as the largest single market disappeared, and entire pottery workshops retooled from producing bathhouse wares to more utilitarian items. This economic unraveling provides a cautionary tale about the fragility of specialized service economies and the profound societal impacts when major cultural institutions decline. Modern parallels can be seen in industrial towns devastated by factory closures, making the Roman bath economy's collapse a surprisingly relevant case study in economic transition. Today's burgeoning wellness industry, projected to reach $7 trillion globally by 2025, is unconsciously reviving many aspects of the Roman bath economic model. From thermal spa resorts that anchor regional tourism, to the proliferation of urban day spas supporting countless small businesses, the economic principles the Romans pioneered, diversified revenue streams, premium service tiers, and commercial ecosystems around central facilities continue to prove their viability. Contemporary urban planners studying third-place theories are essentially rediscovering what Roman city builders understood instinctively about the economic and social value of communal gathering spaces focused on wellness. As we face challenges of urban isolation and stressed healthcare systems, the Roman bath model offers timeless lessons in how to structure public-private partnerships that promote both public health and economic vitality, demonstrating that investments in shared wellness infrastructure can yield dividends that far exceed their immediate costs. Roman bath culture was far more than just a way to relax or socialize. It represented one of the most advanced systems of preventive medicine in the ancient world. Renowned physicians such as Galen and Celsus developed detailed bathing regimens tailored to various health conditions, applying early principles of hydrotherapy long before modern science confirmed their benefits. The bathing process itself was methodically structured. Bathers moved from the warm tepidarium to the hot caldarium, and finally to the cold frigidarium. This sequence wasn't arbitrary. It was designed to stimulate circulation and promote healing. The caldarium induced sweating to expel toxins, while the frigidarium's cold plunge caused vasoconstriction, flushing the system. Medical texts of the era explain how water temperature affected ailments from joint pain to sleep disorders. Steam inhalation was also a standard treatment for respiratory issues, prescribed frequently for conditions like asthma or bronchitis. Clearly, baths served a medical function. Archaeological evidence further supports the medical role of Roman baths. Excavations have uncovered surgical instruments, cupping tools, and even medicinal containers in ancient bath complexes, hinting that some facilities doubled as early rehabilitation centers. Patients could receive treatment in a carefully curated environment that promoted both physical recovery and mental well-being. Roman physicians utilized different water sources and minerals to treat specific ailments, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of natural medicine. At sites like Aquae Sulis, modern-day Bath in England, the waters contained high levels of calcium, sulfate, and silica. These minerals, now known for their therapeutic effects on skin, joints, and inflammation, were likely appreciated even then. Roman engineers blended these waters skillfully, anticipating modern hydrotherapy techniques. Their intuitive grasp of healthful environments and therapeutic rituals underscores their role as pioneers of integrative medicine. It wasn't merely about soaking, it was science, ritual, and healing woven into daily life. Some Roman baths were built near sacred hot springs thought to possess divine or mystical healing powers. These waters often contained elements like lithium and radon, which today are recognized for their mood-stabilizing and anti-inflammatory properties. Balneologists now confirm that these mineral compositions do indeed offer measurable medical benefits. Romans suffering from arthritis, skin conditions, or nervous ailments flocked to such springs for relief. They weren't just participating in superstition. They were engaging in a proto-scientific form of treatment through observation and repetition. Recent comparative studies between ancient Roman bath sites and today's therapeutic spa towns show striking similarities in both water chemistry and treatment protocols. These parallels suggest that ancient physicians, through generations of empirical observation, developed health strategies not unlike those in modern integrative medicine. Customized water treatments, temperature-controlled therapy, and patient-centered environments all have ancient precedents, making Roman bath culture impressively ahead of its time. Beyond physical healing, Roman bathing culture incorporated early forms of psychological therapy. The architecture of Roman bathhouses encouraged a therapeutic journey. Patrons moved from bustling, sociable atriums to progressively quieter, meditative spaces. This transition mirrored the modern mental health model of stimulation, followed by calming. Philosophers such as Seneca often reflected on the contemplative value of baths, recommending them for reflection and emotional clarity. Medical texts also referenced bathing as a remedy for melancholia, a term corresponding to today's depression. The multisensory elements of the bath, warm water, soft echoes, aromatic oils, created a tranquil environment that soothed anxiety. These weren't accidental features. They were thoughtfully designed to promote emotional wellness. Even the Gigi-eyed, communal aspect of bathing helped counteract loneliness, reinforcing the Roman appreciation for community as part of holistic health. Evidence like votive offerings suggests Romans saw the bath as a place to heal both the body and the soul. In many ways, Roman baths were the wellness centers of their era, promoting not just cleanliness, but resilience, balance, and community health. Their disappearance marked a major setback. With the fall of the Roman Empire, bathhouses decayed, and the social, physical, and medical systems surrounding them vanished. In medieval Europe, personal hygiene and public sanitation regressed dramatically, contributing to the rise of waterborne illnesses like dysentery and cholera, diseases the Romans had managed to contain through their integrated water infrastructure. The knowledge of hydrotherapy, steam treatment, and mineral medicine was lost for centuries, surviving only in scattered texts. Modern historians now regard this decline as one of the most unfortunate regressions in public health history. It took nearly a millennium for medical science to return to many of the principles the Romans had applied daily. The collapse of their bathing culture wasn't just cultural, it was deeply medical. Today, echoes of Roman bathing wisdom are returning. In rehabilitation centers across the globe, thermal water circuits inspired by Roman models are being reintroduced as part of standard therapy. Athletes undergo contrast hydrotherapy to speed muscle recovery. Patients with respiratory issues benefit from steam inhalation, and people with chronic pain are prescribed mineral soaks. Even the Roman strigil, a scraping tool used after bathing, is making a comeback in modern dermatological therapy, recognized for its role in exfoliation and inflammation reduction. Researchers continue to validate ancient practices with modern science, discovering measurable improvements in circulation, stress reduction, and immune response. This revival speaks to the enduring practicality of Roman bathing logic. While we now have advanced diagnostics and pharmaceuticals, the Romans offer something equally valuable: a daily, accessible ritual of self-care that aligns body and mind. Their insight into preventive health feels remarkably modern, despite being over 2,000 years old. Modern wellness movements often echo Roman principles without realizing it. The growing popularity of spa culture, thermal retreats, and mindful bathing rituals shows a societal hunger for more than clinical medicine. People increasingly seek immersive, whole-body treatments that balance physical relief with emotional release, something the Romans mastered through centuries of empirical refinement. The architecture of today's luxury spas, with their curated lighting, calming acoustics, and temperature-controlled spaces, mirrors that of ancient Roman baths. The shift toward preventative healthcare, treating stress and inflammation before they manifest as illness, also aligns with Roman ideals. While we may credit technology with these innovations, the foundational ideas trace back to Rome. Understanding this connection enriches our appreciation of both ancient knowledge and modern medicine. The wisdom embedded in Roman bathing rituals reminds us that healing is not only a science, but also an experience, one that nurtures the body, calms the mind, and connects us to others. The Roman model offers a powerful lesson for today's health challenges. As societies grapple with epidemics of stress, burnout, and chronic disease, we might look backward to move forward. The Romans viewed health as a continuum, nurtured through daily habits rather than emergency interventions. Bathing was not a luxury, but a civic responsibility, a way to maintain public and personal wellness. Their blend of engineering, observation, and sensory design created spaces that healed without medicine, something modern systems often overlook. The decline of this model left a vacuum that centuries of disease and disconnection filled. Yet, today, as we rediscover the therapeutic value of water, touch, and communal rituals, the Roman blueprint becomes increasingly relevant. Perhaps the future of medicine lies partly in its past, in the quiet, steamy rooms where people once shed their burdens and re-emerged renewed. In their wisdom, we find tools not just for healing but for living well. Roman baths were far more than places for physical hygiene. They functioned as sacred environments, where cleansing the body and purifying the spirit merged into one ritualized act. Many bath complexes housed shrines dedicated to water, deities such as the nymphs or Asclepius, the god of healing. Visitors often paused before entering the pools to leave offerings, coins, figurines, or inscribed curse tablets, seeking divine favor or revenge. The ritual of moving through rooms of varying temperatures mirrored spiritual rites found in ancient mystery cults. These transitions, from heat to cool, from dark to light, created a kind of transformative journey. Votive offerings discovered in drains and fountains suggest bathers treated the space as a temple of wellness. The layout itself frequently followed sacred geometry, aligning with solar events or revered natural features. Early Christians recognized the religious power embedded in these spaces and viewed them as spiritual rivals to baptism, not merely sites of moral temptation. The everyday operation of Roman bathhouses included religious practices that are often overlooked today. Each day began with libations to the guardian spirits, or lairs, of the complex, honoring them before the first visitors arrived. Seasonal festivals celebrated specific deities associated with different bathhouses, reinforcing their sacred function. Water sources, whether thermal springs or aqueduct-fed cisterns, were revered as divine gifts. Rituals were performed to thank the water nymphs, and bath attendants occasionally acted as spiritual guides, interpreting visions or sensations experienced during bathing. Architecturally, many caldariums featured circular designs symbolizing divine perfection, and the path from shadowed dressing rooms to bright steaming pools recalled rites of initiation. For the average Roman, bathing wasn't just physical upkeep. It became a meditative ritual. Repetitive acts of soaking, scraping, and resting induced altered mental states, fostering introspection. This blending of the physical and metaphysical turned the bath into a space for spiritual alignment, not just bodily maintenance. The shift from Roman paganism to Christianity brought deep changes to the way baths were perceived and used. Church authorities criticized them as places of vanity, temptation, and idolatry. Tertullian condemned their religious rituals, and Augustine warned against the sensuality they encouraged. Yet, even as public bathing came under suspicion, the spiritual magnetism of water endured. Some Roman baths were repurposed into Christian baptismal fonts, their pools retaining a sacred role in new religious contexts. In the Eastern Roman Empire, elements of the bathing tradition survived. Reinterpreted through Christian liturgy, priests occasionally blessed bath waters, giving the act of immersion renewed theological meaning. These adaptations show how the symbolic power of water as a medium of purification proved too compelling to discard. Though transformed, the spiritual infrastructure laid by Roman bath culture persisted. Across traditions and centuries, water remained a link between body and soul, a ritual inheritance reborn under different names and doctrines. Modern spa culture, often seen as secular, echoes many spiritual dimensions of Roman bathing. The wellness movement's focus on holistic care parallels Roman ideals of body-mind balance. Contemporary rituals, such as lighting candles during a soak or using aromatherapy, have deep roots in Roman practices aimed at invoking the divine during personal care. Across the world, traditional spas from Hungary to Japan continue customs of offering thanks to water spirits, much like Roman bathers did millennia ago. Archaeological finds support this continuity. For example, in 2021, a ritual kit including incense burners, offering bowls, and a statue of Sulis Minerva was discovered beneath London's ancient bathhouse. Such discoveries reaffirm that Roman baths were places of sacred intention. In seeking more than mere cleanliness, bathers maintained spiritual alignment with forces believed to govern health and prosperity. This resonance with universal human yearnings may explain why Roman bathing customs adapted and endured far beyond the fall of Rome. Throughout Roman society, the blending of religious ritual with hygiene elevated daily routines into moments of transcendence. Bathing was not compartmentalized as separate from spiritual life, but fully integrated into the Roman worldview. The sequence of undressing, scraping the skin with a strigil, soaking in various waters, and finally cooling off wasn't merely functional. It was symbolic. Each step echoed themes of purification, renewal, and return to order. The consistency of these practices, performed across centuries and provinces, reveals a cultural consensus. Physical wellness was impossible without spiritual harmony. Temples and bathhouses often stood side by side, and sometimes even shared infrastructure. The line between priest and physician blurred as healing was understood to involve divine forces. Roman bathers, knowingly or not, participated in a sacred rhythm of daily life. Through water they touched the eternal, cleansing not only their bodies but their burdens, realigning themselves with nature, the cosmos, and the gods. The baths also offered a form of collective ritual, a shared spiritual experience among strangers. These spaces were designed to hold hundreds of people at once, yet they allowed for personal solitude and contemplation. Whispered prayers could be heard amid the echoes of splashing water, as individuals navigated through heated rooms and vapor-filled chambers. The mingling of bodies and spirits created a communal energy unlike anything in modern spa culture. For those suffering from illness or grief, the baths served as both sanctuary and place of petition. Coins and inscriptions left near fountains. Record prayers for health, forgiveness, and justice. Children were blessed in the waters, and the dying sometimes received their final immersion here. The sacred quality of the bath extended to all aspects of life: birth, illness, vengeance, reconciliation. It was a place where Roman citizens met not only each other, but the mysteries of life, death, and healing in embodied form. Even the design of Roman bathhouses carried spiritual intent. Builders often positioned structures to align with celestial phenomena such as solstice sunrises or geological landmarks considered sacred. The layout encouraged a journey-like experience, beginning in shadowy apoditeria, changing rooms, and ending in sunlit open-air pools. This architectural narrative reflected broader cosmological beliefs: the passage from darkness to light, ignorance to understanding, impurity to clarity. Murals, mosaics, and statuary further reinforced spiritual themes, with depictions of gods, nymphs, and symbolic animals adorning walls and ceilings. The visual elements were not merely decorative, they were reminders of the divine presence in everyday acts. Even the heated floors, powered by hypocaust systems, were perceived as harnessing elemental forces. Fire, water, air, and earth were all present and balanced within the bathhouse, turning it into a microcosm of the Roman universe. In such spaces, wellness wasn't a goal, it was a sacred state one passed through daily, ritually, communally. What the Romans achieved through their bathhouses was not only an architectural feat or a sanitary advance, it was a spiritual model for embodied living. In recognizing the deep ties between water and wellness, they created rituals that transcended religion and empire. These traditions, often unknowingly, persist in modern practices. Whether it's a hot soak after a hard day or a retreat to a natural spring for renewal, the impulse remains the same: to find wholeness through water. Roman bath culture taught that health was not just the absence of disease, but the presence of balance between mind and body, human and divine. As we rediscover ancient techniques in contemporary spas and wellness centers, we are not merely reviving old customs, but reawakening an ancient understanding. The sacred still lives in the steam, in the splash, in the silence between breaths. Through water, the Romans taught, we may return to ourselves and perhaps even to the gods. The architectural legacy of Roman baths lives on in modern public buildings, where large interior spaces encourage communal interaction. Iconic landmarks such as New York's Grand Central Terminal reflect this influence, with vaulted ceilings and vast halls that echo the grandeur of Roman thermae. These spatial strategies promote both awe and social engagement. Shopping malls also unconsciously mirror the Roman integration of leisure and commerce, while modern community centers follow the Roman multi-purpose model that accommodated a wide range of social activities. As urban planners grapple with the challenges of modern city life, many look back to Roman baths as blueprints for versatile, inclusive spaces. These ancient complexes offered citizens a place to exercise, converse, do business, and relax, all under one roof. Today's architects are similarly reimagining public architecture as a remedy to the fragmentation of urban existence, using design to foster belonging and shared experience across communities of diverse backgrounds. Eco-conscious architecture is increasingly inspired by Roman engineering, particularly in water management and climate control. The hypocaust system, an ancient method of heating floors and walls through circulating hot air, now informs radiant floor heating in sustainable buildings. Architects are also adopting Roman water conservation strategies, adapting them for regions facing drought and water scarcity. Studies of the baths of Caracalla reveal sophisticated passive ventilation methods that maintained air quality and comfort without mechanical systems, techniques now influencing the design of modern theaters and auditoriums. Roman practices, such as situating bathhouses near natural geothermal sources, have inspired contemporary geothermal heating projects. Additionally, their understanding of thermal mass, using dense materials to stabilize indoor temperatures, is now fundamental in green building design. As climate change accelerates, the elegant simplicity of Roman technologies provides valuable lessons in achieving comfort and sustainability without excessive energy use, bridging ancient wisdom with modern environmental responsibility. Roman bath culture was founded on the belief that wellness should be universally accessible, a philosophy gaining traction today in urban planning circles. Public bathing facilities are returning to cities worldwide, from Berlin's neighborhood pools to Tokyo's enduring Sento culture. These initiatives are informed by the Roman idea that health infrastructure should serve all social classes, helping to close wellness gaps in diverse urban populations. Cities like Singapore and Copenhagen are developing modern wellness districts that echo Roman bath design, integrating health, hygiene, and social activities within the fabric of daily urban life. This movement represents a shift away from the privatized, exclusive wellness spaces of the 20th century, re-embracing a communal ethos. Urban policymakers now recognize that public health is not just a matter of medicine, but of social infrastructure. The Roman approach, holistic, civic-minded, and inclusive, offers a compelling vision for how modern cities might build environments that promote well-being for everyone. Subtle but profound, the aesthetic values of Roman bath architecture continue to shape modern design. Roman builders mastered the manipulation of light, using high windows and domed ceilings to cast shifting rays throughout their interiors, techniques still admired in contemporary civic spaces. They also used water features strategically to Cool and enliven spaces, a method adopted in many modern buildings. Materials were chosen for both function and beauty: cool marble in steamy rooms, colorful mosaics in wet zones. Today's architects carry forward the Roman triad of firmitas, utilitas, venustas, strength, utility, beauty, creating spaces that are resilient, purposeful, and uplifting. The flow of space in spas and wellness centers, from warm to cool, rooms and rough to smooth textures, replicates the Roman tradition of sequencing experiences to engage the senses. In this way, Roman baths have not just influenced how buildings look, but how they feel, enriching both form and atmosphere. The cultural impact of Roman baths extends into strategies for combating modern urban stress and isolation. With their fusion of thermal therapy, exercise, relaxation, and social gathering, Roman baths offered a comprehensive form of urban wellness. Today's cities are exploring third-place models, spaces outside home and work, that echo these ancient practices. Community baths and wellness hubs can address epidemics of anxiety, burnout, and loneliness by fostering regular, low-pressure social contact. Public health professionals increasingly point to Roman-style spaces as interventions that promote both mental and physical health. These sites also served as social equalizers, drawing in people of all classes into a shared experience. In an age where digital disconnection and class divides are growing, the Roman model offers a timeless solution: healing through communal ritual, comfort through physical presence, and joy through beauty. Reintegrating these elements into urban life may hold the key to more humane, resilient communities. Imagining the future of city life through the lens of Roman bath culture reveals bold new possibilities. Picture complexes where co-working spaces, therapy rooms, public pools, cafes, and art venues coexist under architecturally inspiring roofs. This vision is already becoming reality in some places. Paris's revival of its bains municipaux explicitly cites Roman thermae as inspiration. These spaces aim to address not only physical needs, but also emotional and social ones. The Roman bathhouse wasn't just a place to clean the body. It was a civic heart, a site for ritual, conversation, and rest. In today's age of environmental challenges and social fragmentation, such integrated, beautiful, and sustainable public spaces could become vital again. The Roman legacy proves that architecture can do more than house people. It can shape how we live together. By restoring this ancient ethos, cities might rediscover how to truly nourish both body and spirit in everyday urban life. The resilience of Roman bath principles across centuries lies in their alignment with basic human needs: comfort, connection, beauty, and ritual. These elements transcend time and culture, making Roman design perennially relevant. Modern spas often recreate the sensory journey of Roman baths without consciously realizing it, alternating heat and cold, surrounding visitors with calming architecture and offering a break from everyday demands. Even small rituals like lighting candles in the bath or using fragrant oils reflect the ancient Roman practice of honoring household gods during cleansing. Archaeology continues to uncover evidence of this spiritual layer, such as a 2021 find in London, a complete bathhouse ritual kit buried beneath a furnace room, including incense burners, offering bowls, and a statue of Sulis Minerva. These discoveries remind us that cleanliness for the Romans was not only physical but sacred. Their ability to merge body, space, and spirit remains one of the great legacies of antiquity. What the Romans perfected in their bathhouses was not merely an architectural or engineering feat, but a philosophy of living. They understood that health was not compartmentalized. It was social, environmental, and deeply personal. Their baths provided shelter, art, conversation, renewal. In many ways, they offered what today's cities still struggle to deliver: dignity and serenity in shared spaces. As urban life becomes faster, denser, and more stressful, the Roman model invites us to slow down and reconnect, not just with others but with ourselves. Modern urban design can take inspiration from this holistic perspective, crafting places where function and soul coexist. The grandeur of the Roman bath reminds us that infrastructure can carry meaning, that public life can be graceful, and that even the simplest acts, like bathing, can become rituals of belonging. In reviving these ancient insights, we may find ways to build cities that not only work better, but feel better. The scientific excavation of Roman baths gained momentum during the Enlightenment of the 18th century, marking a shift from curiosity to systematic analysis. Scholars such as Francesco Bianchini were among the first to document sites, like the baths of Diocletian with architectural precision, producing detailed plans that highlighted the engineering sophistication of these massive complexes. Their findings fundamentally reshaped perceptions of Roman technology, demonstrating that systems for water distribution and indoor heating, especially the hypercaust, were far more advanced than previously believed. The discovery of these subfloor heating systems fascinated early researchers as they circulated hot air beneath floors and inside walls, long before the invention of modern central heating. These studies showed that the Romans not only excelled in architectural aesthetics, but also possessed deep understanding of thermodynamics and hydraulics. Their approach to communal infrastructure reflected a civilization prioritizing both function and comfort, centuries ahead of its time in public amenity innovation. Modern archaeological methods have dramatically expanded our understanding of Roman bathing culture, leveraging advanced technologies and interdisciplinary insights. Thermographic imaging now reveals heat distribution in ruined structures, helping researchers identify heating chambers and airflow patterns. Chemical analysis of ancient water pipes discloses mineral contents that suggest how Romans blended various water sources for health benefits. At sites like the baths of Caracalla, digital reconstructions bring these spaces to life using virtual reality, recreating ambient light, echoacoustics, and water flow to simulate the ancient experience. These tools have turned fragmented remains into immersive educational resources, bridging the gap between antiquity and the present. Such advancements allow archaeologists to reconstruct not only architectural form, but also human experience, how people moved, interacted, and healed within these complex structures. This comprehensive approach paints a vivid picture of how Roman baths served as more than bathing venues. They were sophisticated centers for wellness, community, and innovation. Ongoing excavations continue to reveal surprising dimensions of Roman bathing that defy earlier assumptions. A 2019 discovery in Pompeii's Stabian Baths revealed a section designated for women with nearly equal amenities, challenging long-held beliefs about gender segregation in public life. Meanwhile, underwater digs at coastal sites have unearthed harbor baths, showcasing how Romans adapted their technologies to marine environments, creating functioning thermal facilities even near the sea. Perhaps most compelling is the evidence from drainage systems, where traces of pharmaceuticals and medical waste suggest some baths doubled as rehabilitation clinics. These finds indicate a complex relationship between public hygiene and early medical practices, illustrating how Romans used shared spaces not just for leisure, but for healing and care. Such discoveries highlight the social inclusivity and multifunctionality of Roman baths, which served as early models for integrated healthcare and wellness infrastructure. They deepen our understanding of ancient urban life as both medically aware and community-oriented. Studies of small provincial baths are offering new insights into how bathing culture permeated the vast Roman Empire. Excavations from Britain to Syria reveal how local adaptations made Roman practices relevant across climates and traditions. In colder northern territories, baths featured thick insulation, smaller windows, and intensified heating to accommodate the chill. In arid regions, engineers devised advanced water-saving techniques, sometimes more efficient than those used in Rome. These regional modifications reflect the flexible nature of Roman engineering and its openness to local knowledge systems. Rather than imposing a uniform model, Roman administrators encouraged adaptive architecture that merged empire-wide standards with indigenous customs. This cultural adaptability explains the widespread success of Roman baths as institutions, seamlessly integrating into diverse communities. These sites are not just relics of imperial influence, but examples of intercultural collaboration, offering lessons in how infrastructure can be both standardized and responsive to local environmental and cultural contexts. New scientific techniques now allow scholars to examine aspects of Roman bath life previously hidden from view. Soil DNA analysis has identified plants once grown in bathhouse gardens, revealing a botanical dimension to wellness rituals. Chemical residue studies on bronze strigils show what oils and perfumes were applied during cleansing rituals, offering insight into personal grooming habits. Air pockets trapped in ancient plumbing systems have even been analyzed to determine atmospheric conditions and air pollution levels in Roman cities. These micro-level investigations are transforming our macro understanding of ancient society. Rather than merely focusing on the grandeur of architecture, researchers now study the intimate sensory aspects of Roman daily life, what people smelled, touched, and inhaled. This convergence of disciplines, archaeology, biology, chemistry, and environmental science, has resulted in a multidimensional reconstruction of how these spaces operated. It moves our understanding of Roman baths from static monuments to dynamic, lived environments rich in physical and cultural information. Preserving Roman bath ruins poses complex challenges that modern conservators must creatively address. The same moisture that once nourished these complexes now accelerates their decay, forcing conservators to balance preservation with access. Many sites, such as those in Bath, England, have adopted Roman-inspired solutions to maintain authenticity, like using traditional lime mortar and rerouting natural springs through original drainage channels. These efforts must also accommodate tourism, ensuring educational value without compromising structural integrity. This delicate balance echoes the Romans' own experience, as their baths evolved to serve expanding populations without losing their original purpose or elegance. Conservation now involves not only physical maintenance, but also storytelling, using modern technology to convey ancient significance to global audiences. Through immersive exhibits and interpretive signage, visitors experience these ruins as active learning environments rather than static relics. These projects ensure that Roman baths continue to educate and inspire, serving both scholarly inquiry and public engagement. Roman bath sites have become laboratories for interdisciplinary collaboration, drawing experts from diverse fields to unravel ancient mysteries. Engineers work with archaeologists to model heating systems, recreating how hypocausts maintained thermal equilibrium. Chemists partner with art historians to study pigment degradation in mosaics and frescoes, preserving visual narratives. Medical researchers explore hygiene practices to understand ancient microbiomes, while materials scientists analyze Roman concrete in search of eco-friendly alternatives. These partnerships foster a richer understanding of Roman life, blending technical precision with cultural inquiry. Each discipline brings unique tools and perspectives, creating a composite picture that no single field could achieve alone. This collaborative model is increasingly seen as a blueprint for future archaeological research, an approach where technology, humanities, and science converge. Roman baths, once symbols of physical cleansing, now serve as intellectual cleansers, washing away disciplinary boundaries and revealing the interconnected nature of ancient innovation and modern discovery. The continuous study of Roman baths holds enduring relevance, not only for historians but for contemporary urban thinkers. These ancient facilities provide tangible solutions to today's pressing challenges, including public health, social inequality, and sustainable design. Modern cities like Lisbon and Chicago have integrated Roman hydraulic concepts into public wellness centers, echoing ancient techniques in a new context. By addressing physical, mental, and communal well-being under one roof, Roman baths serve as a historical model for future-forward urban planning. Their legacy illustrates that human needs for relaxation, hygiene, and connection remain unchanged across millennia. As digital life increases social isolation, the communal ethos of Roman baths reminds us that shared spaces matter. Their enduring relevance proves that good design transcends time, offering comfort, function, and beauty in equal measure. These structures are more than historical artifacts. They are living philosophies, continually influencing how we shape cities to care for both body and spirit. Roman baths served as powerful instruments of cultural assimilation throughout the empire's vast territories. As each new province came under Roman control, the construction of bathhouses became a priority, introducing conquered populations to Roman notions of civilization and urban living. These complexes weren't merely hygiene facilities, but tangible demonstrations of Roman technological superiority and organizational skills. Local elites quickly adopted bathing rituals as a way to demonstrate their Romanization, while the general population gained access to unprecedented public health amenities. The bath's standardized design, with their sequence of rooms and heating systems, created a familiar Roman experience, whether one was in Britain or Syria, fostering a sense of imperial unity. The spread of bathing culture reveals fascinating adaptations to regional climates and traditions. In colder northern provinces like Britannia and Germania, baths featured more robust heating systems and enclosed spaces to conserve warmth. Desert outposts in North Africa developed ingenious water conservation techniques, while baths in earthquake-prone areas like Anatolia incorporated flexible construction methods. These regional variations demonstrate how Roman engineers skillfully modified their standard designs to accommodate local conditions while maintaining the essential bathing experience. Even the decorative programs adapted, blending Roman mythological scenes with local artistic traditions and religious motifs. Bathing culture had profound effects on daily life and social structures in provincial cities. The introduction of public baths transformed urban rhythms, creating new patterns of work and leisure centered around the bathing schedule. Local economies adapted to support bathhouse operations, spawning industries for fuel supply, oil production, and maintenance services. The baths also altered social dynamics by providing rare spaces where different classes could interact, albeit often separated by bathing times or facilities. This social leveling effect, however imperfect, represented a significant departure from many pre-Roman societal structures in conquered territories. The religious aspects of Roman baths took on special significance in provincial contexts. Many bathhouses incorporated local water deities alongside Roman gods in their shrines, creating syncretic religious spaces that eased cultural transition. In Gaul and Britain, baths were often built near pre-existing sacred springs, effectively Christianizing these pagan sites. The ritual aspects of Roman bathing, the progression through spaces, the use of oils, the votive offerings, resonated with indigenous purification practices, making conversion to Roman ways more palatable. This religious dimension helps explain why baths became such effective tools of cultural assimilation across diverse regions. The economic impact of bath construction transformed provincial landscapes and resource networks. Quarries opened to supply marble and stone, while forests were managed for fuel production on unprecedented scales. The need to feed bathhouse furnaces created entire industries. In Spain, olive oil production expanded dramatically to meet demand for both lighting and cleansing. Local artisans learned Roman mosaic and fresco techniques to decorate baths, spreading these art forms into domestic architecture. The bath's massive water requirements drove innovation in local engineering, with aqueduct construction spreading Roman hydraulic knowledge far beyond Italy. Roman baths became unexpected centers of cultural exchange and innovation in the provinces. Greek intellectuals might debate philosophy in African bathhouses, while Syrian merchants introduced new massage techniques in Gallic spas. The mixing of traditions in these spaces led to hybrid practices, Germanic herbal remedies incorporated into Roman medical treatments or Eastern perfuming techniques adapted for Western tastes. Baths also served as early globalized consumer spaces where products from across the empire, Egyptian linens, Spanish oils, Syrian bronzeware, could be found in use simultaneously. The decline of Roman bathing culture in the provinces followed different trajectories, revealing regional attachments to the practice. In some areas like Britain, baths fell into disuse quickly as Roman administration withdrew. In others, particularly the eastern provinces, bathing traditions persisted and evolved into Byzantine and later Islamic hammam culture. The durability of bathing practices often correlated with local climate and pre-existing water traditions. Regions with natural hot springs maintained bathing culture longest. This uneven decline created fascinating cultural hybrids, like the Romano-Celtic bath traditions that survived in Brittany into the early Middle Ages. Modern archaeology continues to uncover new insights about how Roman baths functioned as agents of cultural change. Recent discoveries in Albania revealed baths that blended Roman and Illyrian architectural elements, while excavations in Morocco showed how local elites used bath decoration to signal both Roman allegiance and indigenous identity. These findings challenge simplistic notions of Romanization, showing instead a complex process of cultural negotiation. As scholars increasingly study provincial baths alongside their Italian counterparts, we gain a richer understanding of how the Roman Empire managed to create a shared culture across immense diversity, while still allowing for local adaptation and expression. The Hippocaust heating system represented one of ancient Rome's most impressive technological achievements, demonstrating sophisticated understanding of thermodynamics centuries before modern heating systems. This underfloor heating method circulated hot air from wood-burning furnaces through a network of hollow spaces beneath raised floors and behind walls. The system's efficiency was remarkable. The baths of Caracalla's Hippocaust could maintain temperatures of 50 to 55 degrees, 122-131 degrees, in caldariums while consuming less wood than one might expect. The raised floors were supported by hundreds of small brick pillars, pilae, that created the air channels, while hollow rectangular tubes, tubuli, embedded in walls distributed heat vertically. This ingenious design allowed heat to radiate evenly throughout bathing chambers without creating dangerous hotspots or excessive smoke exposure for bathers. Roman hydraulic engineering in bath complexes displayed equally advanced innovation in water management. Aqueducts delivered millions of gallons daily to urban baths through precisely calculated lead and terracotta piping systems that maintained consistent water pressure. The Romans developed sophisticated valve systems to control water flow between different temperature pools and clever sedimentation tanks to filter impurities. Some baths featured ingenious water recycling systems where runoff from cleaner areas was redirected to flush latrines or irrigate gardens. The scale of water usage was staggering. The baths of Diocletian required an estimated 18,000 cubic meters of water daily, supplied by the Aqua Marcia aqueduct through pipes that could fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool in under an hour. The architectural design of Roman baths solved complex structural challenges with elegant solutions. Massive vaulted ceilings spanning up to 35 meters were engineered to withstand steam and heat exposure, while creating awe-inspiring interior spaces. The use of different concrete mixtures for various bath areas, with more waterproof aggregates, in wet areas and heat-resistant materials near furnaces, showed advanced materials science. Windows were strategically placed to create optimal lighting conditions while preventing excessive heat loss, and oculus openings in domes allowed steam to escape naturally. The Romans even developed specialized mortars that became stronger when exposed to hot, moist conditions, the opposite of modern cement's reaction, making their bath structures remarkably durable. Roman bath engineers mastered climate control through passive ventilation systems that maintained air quality without mechanical assistance. Carefully calculated air currents were created by positioning furnace intakes and steam vents to draw fresh air through bathing spaces while expelling stale air. The progression of rooms from cold to hot was not just ritual, but served practical airflow management, with temperature gradients helping circulate air naturally. Some larger baths incorporated underground ventilation tunnels that brought in cool air to moderate furnace heat, while others used water features to humidify or dehumidify spaces as needed. These passive systems were so effective that the Pantheon-like dome of the baths of Caracalla's caldarium maintained perfect steam levels without becoming stifling. The construction logistics behind imperial baths demonstrated extraordinary organizational capabilities. Building the baths of Caracalla required moving over 2.3 million cubic feet of earth and using over 6.9 million bricks just for the hypocaust system. Construction crews worked with military-like precision, with specialized teams handling everything, from marble veneer installation to pipe fitting. The Romans developed ingenious lifting devices and construction techniques to handle massive stone elements. Some bathhouse columns weighed over 100 tons, yet were precisely positioned without modern machinery. Project management must have been exceptional, as imperial baths were typically completed in just 5 to 7 years, despite their enormous scale and complexity. Roman bath technology adapted creatively to diverse environmental conditions across the empire. In North Africa, baths incorporated shaded cooling rooms and water evaporation systems to counteract desert heat. British baths featured extra insulation and more robust heating systems for colder climates. Coastal baths like those in Baiae used seawater for some pools while maintaining freshwater supplies for drinking and cleaning. Engineers in earthquake-prone areas developed flexible lead pipe joints that could withstand tremors, while those in wood-scarce regions experimented with alternative fuels like olive pits for furnaces. These regional adaptations show Roman engineering was far from rigidly standardized, but instead flexibly responsive to local conditions. The maintenance infrastructure supporting Roman baths was equally impressive. Teams of trained slaves and paid workers constantly monitored and repaired systems, from furnace stokers working in shifts to aqueduct inspectors checking water quality. Specialized tools were developed for hypocaust cleaning and pipe repair, some of which resemble modern plumbing tools. The Romans even created early versions of water meters to track usage and detect leaks in the system. This maintenance regime was crucial for baths' long-term operation. Some complexes functioned continuously for over 400 years with only minor repairs, a testament to both their initial construction quality and ongoing care. The legacy of Roman bath engineering persists in modern building systems more than most people realize. Contemporary radiant floor heating is a direct descendant of hypocaust technology, while modern spa ventilation often follows Roman passive airflow principles. The concrete mixtures used in some modern marine structures borrow from Roman hydraulic cement recipes perfected in bath construction. Even current water conservation efforts in arid regions revisit Roman techniques for water recycling and multiple-use systems. Perhaps most importantly, Roman baths demonstrated how advanced engineering could serve public welfare, a lesson increasingly relevant as societies seek sustainable solutions for communal infrastructure. These ancient technological marvels continue to inspire engineers today, proving that good design truly stands the test of time. The typical Roman bathing ritual followed a carefully choreographed sequence that blended hygiene with social interaction. A visitor would begin their afternoon bathhouse visit by paying the small entrance fee at the apoditerium, changing room, where slaves or attendants would guard their clothing and belongings. After undressing, bathers would proceed to the palestra for exercise, wrestling, ball games, or weight training, to work up a sweat before the actual bathing commenced. The wealthier patrons often brought personal slaves to carry their strigils, oils and towels, while others rented these items from bathhouse concessionaires. This initial phase served both practical and social purposes, allowing bathers to transition from their daily activities while greeting friends and acquaintances. The bathing sequence itself was a multi-sensory experience that followed strict conventions. After exercising, bathers would enter the tepidarium, warm room, to begin acclimating their bodies to the heat, often receiving an initial oil massage from attendants or personal slaves. The next stop was the caldarium, hot room, where they would sit on heated marble benches, sweat profusely, and scrape their skin with strigils to remove oil and impurities. Conversation in these hot spaces tended to be more subdued due to the exhausting heat. The ritual culminated with a refreshing plunge in the frigidarium cold pool, where lively chatter would resume as the invigorating shock of cold water revived the bathers. Throughout this progression, attendants circulated with drinks and snacks, while masseurs offered their services in designated areas. Social hierarchies and etiquette governed every aspect of bathhouse interactions, while theoretically, democratic spaces, subtle cues maintained social distinctions. Wealthier bathers often reserved better quality oils or premium time slots. Senators and elites might receive preferred seating near the best heated walls or have attendants clear space around them. Conversations followed unwritten rules. Business discussions were acceptable, but overt political debates might be frowned upon. The bath served as crucial networking venues where patrons could cultivate relationships across class lines, but breaches of etiquette, like overly aggressive business propositions, could damage one's reputation. Even the use of the strigil followed social codes. Doing it oneself showed humility, while having a slave do it displayed status. The baths transformed throughout the day to accommodate different social functions. Early mornings were often reserved for medical bathing under physician supervision, while late mornings saw elite patrons enjoying quieter, less crowded conditions. The peak hours in early afternoon became lively social hubs where all classes mixed, though often separated into different sections or time slots. Evenings sometimes featured more intimate gatherings where poets might recite works or musicians perform. Some baths offered special night bathing under lamplight for those who preferred more privacy. This daily rhythm allowed the same spaces to serve multiple purposes while accommodating different comfort levels with crowds and noise. Gender dynamics in Roman baths varied significantly across time and regions. Early Roman baths were often mixed gender, but by the imperial period, most had either separate facilities or designated hours for women. Women's sections tended to be smaller and less elaborate, though some wealthy matrons had private bathing suites. The decor in women's baths often featured different themes, more fertility-related imagery, rather than the athletic motifs common in men's areas. Female bathers typically wore modest garments, unlike the nude male bathers, and had female attendants. Some provincial baths maintained mixed-gender traditions longer than Rome itself, particularly in areas with strong local bathing customs predating Roman rule. Entertainment and leisure activities filled the spaces between bathing rituals. Many bath complexes included libraries where patrons could read scrolls between soaks, or lecture halls for philosophical discussions. Game rooms featured boards for ludus latrunculorum, a Roman strategy game, and dice games, though gambling was officially discouraged. Snack bars served everything from simple sausages to gourmet delicacies, while vendors circulated with sweets and drinks. Some larger baths even had small theaters for performances or recitals. These amenities turned bathhouses into all-day destinations, where Romans could combine hygiene with intellectual and social pursuits, ancient predecessors of modern community centers. The sensory experience of Roman baths was carefully engineered for maximum pleasure. Perfumed oils infused the steamy air with scents of lavender, rose and citrus, while the mineral tang of thermal waters provided an earthy counterpoint. The acoustics of different rooms created distinct soundscapes, from the lively echoes of the palaestra to the muted hush of heated chambers. Bathers experienced constantly shifting tactile sensations, from cool marble underfoot to the velvety embrace of warm oils. Even taste was indulged with refreshments like chilled fruit or honeyed wines. This multisensory approach created what we'd now call an immersive experience, transporting bathers from daily concerns into a realm of pure relaxation. The concluding rituals marked the transition back to ordinary life. After the final cold plunge, bathers would return to the apoditerium where attendants helped dry them with linen towels. The wealthy might have slaves apply final moisturizing oils or perfumes, while others made do with simple scraping. This was often when social invitations for evening meals were extended, continuing the day's conviviality. As patrons dressed and retrieved their belongings, they would often leave small coins or votive offerings at bathhouse shrines. Emerging into the evening air, the Roman bather carried with them not just physical cleanliness, but the psychological refreshment of hours spent nurturing both body and social connections, a daily renewal ritual that modern spas still strive to replicate. The gradual decline of Roman bath culture began in the 3rd century AD, as the empire faced mounting political and economic crises. Military conflicts disrupted supply chains for bathhouse essentials like olive oil and firewood, while inflation made maintenance increasingly unaffordable for cities. Barbarian invasions deliberately targeted aqueducts and urban infrastructure, with Alaric's siege of Rome in 410 CE cutting off water to the city's baths for the first time in centuries. As imperial funds dwindled, once grand thermae fell into disrepair, their marble veneers stripped for reuse in defensive walls. The social unrest of this period also made large public gatherings potentially dangerous, reducing bathhouse attendance even before Christian opposition grew. Christianity's rise fundamentally altered Roman attitudes toward public bathing. Traditions. Early church fathers like Tertullian condemned baths as promoters of vanity and immoral behavior, particularly opposing mixed-gender bathing. St. Jerome famously advised pious women to avoid baths altogether to preserve modesty. As Christianity became the state religion in the 4th century, bathing rituals became associated with pagan decadence rather than civilized living. Many baths had their erotic art defaced or removed, and the spiritual aspects of bathing were redirected toward Christian baptismal rites. This ideological shift transformed public perception. Where baths had once symbolized Roman urbanitas, they increasingly represented a sinful past needing reformation. The technological knowledge required to maintain baths disappeared alarmingly quickly as the Western Empire collapsed. The specialized skills of hypocaust engineers and aqueduct maintenance crews faded without institutional support or apprenticeship systems. By the 6th century, even basic repairs to heating systems often proved impossible, forcing communities to abandon large sections of bath complexes. The famous Plombières-les-Bains in Gaul, which had operated continuously for centuries, fell into such disrepair that locals forgot its original heating mechanisms. This loss of engineering knowledge represented more than just cultural change. It marked a dramatic regression in public health standards and quality of life that would last for centuries. In the Eastern Roman Empire, bathing traditions persisted longer, but underwent significant transformations. Constantinople's baths gradually incorporated Christian imagery while maintaining their basic functions, with some becoming associated with healing saints. The famous baths of Zeuxippos transitioned into a more modest establishment that served the imperial court rather than the general public. Eastern engineers simplified heating systems to make them more maintainable, abandoning some of the grander imperial-scale technologies. This adapted bathing culture would eventually influence the development of Islamic hammams after the Arab conquests, preserving aspects of Roman hygiene practices in altered form. The physical transformation of abandoned bath complexes tells a poignant story of cultural change. In Rome itself, the massive baths of Diocletian were converted into a Christian church by Pope Pius IV in the 16th century. Other baths became quarries for building materials, their marble facades stripped, a way to decorate churches and palaces. Some subterranean furnace areas were repurposed as storage cellars or even prisons, while the great vaulted halls became makeshift shelters. In colder northern provinces, abandoned baths sometimes became communal housing, their still intact heating systems providing rare winter warmth. These adaptive reuses preserved the physical structures while erasing their original purpose from collective memory. Medieval Europe developed radically different hygiene practices as Roman baths disappeared. The Church promoted spiritual purity over physical cleanliness, with frequent full-body washing viewed with suspicion. Private infrequent washing replaced the social bathing ritual, and many came to believe water could spread disease through pores. Only in isolated regions with thermal springs, like Iceland or the Rhineland, did communal bathing traditions persist. The Crusaders' encounters with Islamic hammams shocked European elites with their sophisticated hygiene, but failed to revive Roman-style public bathing. This hygiene regression had serious health consequences, contributing to the rapid spread of medieval plagues through increasingly crowded and unsanitary cities. Archaeological evidence reveals how abruptly bathing standards declined in former Roman provinces. In Britain, Excavations show 5th century baths being used as rubbish dumps rather than maintained. In Gaul, lead pipes were torn out and melted down for other uses within a generation of Roman withdrawal. The Visigothic law codes from 6th century Spain specifically mention prohibiting the stripping of bathhouse materials, suggesting how widespread the practice had become. Even in Rome, the once impressive water distribution system shrank dramatically. Where thousands of public fountains had flowed during the empire's height, only a handful remained functional by the 9th century. The rediscovery of Roman bath technology during the Renaissance sparked both admiration and misunderstanding. Early antiquarians like Piero Ligorio studied bath ruins but completely misinterpreted their social function, imagining them as elite pleasure palaces rather than democratic institutions. Attempts to reconstruct hypocaust systems failed spectacularly at first, with several Renaissance architects burning down their experimental buildings. The medical community debated whether Roman bathing practices had been healthful or decadent, unable to reconcile medieval fears of water with classical texts praising cleanliness. This confused revival attempts meant Roman-style public bathing wouldn't properly reappear in Europe until the 18th century, and even then in dramatically altered form. The full understanding of Roman bath culture's sophistication and social importance would only emerge with modern archaeology. The scientific excavation of Roman baths began in earnest during the Renaissance, when scholars first attempted to systematically study these monumental ruins. Early archaeologists like Piranesi produced detailed engravings of bath complexes, though their interpretations often reflected contemporary biases about Roman decadence. The Enlightenment brought more rigorous approaches, with teams carefully measuring structures and attempting to reconstruct their original functions. These early excavations, while crude by modern standards, laid the foundation for our understanding of Roman bathing culture and revealed the astonishing scale of imperial bath complexes. Modern archaeological techniques have revolutionized our ability to interpret bathhouse remains. Ground-penetrating radar now maps entire underground heating systems without disturbing fragile ruins, while 3D laser scanning captures precise details of collapsed structures. Archaeologists employ stratigraphic analysis to date different construction phases, and microscopic examination of mortar samples reveals Roman concrete recipes. Underwater archaeologists have even explored submerged coastal baths, discovering well-preserved infrastructure in oxygen-deprived environments. These technological advances allow researchers to virtually reconstruct entire bath complexes, from the grandest imperial thermae to humble neighborhood balneae. The study of small artifacts provides intimate glimpses into daily bathhouse life. Excavations routinely uncover personal items like strigils, oil bottles, and sandals, the ancient equivalents of forgotten toiletries in modern locker rooms. Analysis of food remains reveals bathhouse menus, while recovered gaming pieces and dice testify to leisurely pastimes. Even the study of hairpins and jewelry helps reconstruct social dynamics, showing how different classes use the baths. These mundane objects, when examined collectively, paint a vivid picture of Roman bathing as both a practical necessity and social ritual. Water system archaeology has yielded particularly fascinating insights into Roman engineering. By mapping lead pipe networks and sediment deposits, researchers have reconstructed entire hydraulic systems. The discovery of pressure reduction tanks and flow control mechanisms shows sophisticated understanding of fluid dynamics. Analysis of mineral deposits in pipes reveals water sources and quality, while study of drainage systems uncovers maintenance practices. Recent work has even identified traces of ancient water treatments, including the use of settling tanks, and possibly even early filtration methods using sand and charcoal. The archaeological record preserves dramatic evidence of baths' final days and post-Roman reuse. In some sites, excavators find coins and valuables abandoned in sudden evacuations, while others show gradual decline through patched repairs and makeshift modifications. Many baths became medieval quarries, their marble facades systematically stripped for reuse. Some were converted into churches or fortresses, their spaces radically reconfigured. These transformation layers tell poignant stories of cultural change, showing how later societies repurposed, and often misunderstood, Roman technological achievements. New scientific techniques continue to enhance our understanding of bathhouse environments. Pollen analysis reconstructs bathhouse gardens and aromatics, while isotope studies of bones reveal bathers' diets and geographic origins. Residue analysis identifies oils and perfumes used in bathing rituals, and DNA studies detect microorganisms in ancient water systems. Even the analysis of air pockets in long-sealed pipes provides information about ancient atmospheric conditions. These interdisciplinary approaches turn bath ruins into rich archives of Roman life, far beyond what ancient texts alone can tell us. The conservation of excavated baths presents ongoing challenges that blend ancient and modern technologies. Traditional Roman mortar recipes are sometimes used for authentic repairs, while advanced polymers stabilize fragile mosaics. Climate control systems now protect sensitive wall paintings that survived centuries underground, only to risk damage. From modern air pollution, some sites like Bath, England, maintain functional ancient plumbing alongside modern visitor facilities, creating unique living museums. These preservation efforts ensure future generations can continue learning from these remarkable monuments. Roman bath archaeology remains a dynamic field with much still to discover. Recent excavations in Spain uncovered previously unknown small-town baths with unusual circular designs, while work in Antioch revealed baths that blended Roman and Near Eastern architectural traditions. Each new find adds complexity to our understanding of how bathing culture spread and adapted across the empire. As research continues, the baths keep revealing secrets about Roman society, from medical practices to urban economics, proving these structures to be among antiquity's most informative archaeological treasures. The philosophy behind Roman baths has experienced a remarkable resurgence in contemporary wellness practices. Modern spa treatments increasingly incorporate Roman-inspired thermal circuits, alternating between hot, warm, and cold experiences to stimulate circulation and promote relaxation. The ancient Roman understanding of holistic wellness, treating mind and body as interconnected, now underpins the global wellness industry, valued at over $4.5 trillion. Luxury spas worldwide offer Roman experience packages featuring updated versions of strigil exfoliation and aromatic oil massages, proving the timeless appeal of these ancient rituals. Even the Roman concept of bathing as social activity has returned through communal soaking pools and public bathhouse revivals in cities from New York to Berlin. Roman engineering principles continue influencing modern sustainable architecture and water management. Contemporary green buildings employ radiant floor heating systems directly descended from Hippocaust technology, while passive ventilation designs mimic Roman solutions for air circulation. Engineers studying Roman aqueducts and water distribution systems have adapted their efficient designs for modern water-scarce regions. The Roman approach to integrating natural hot springs into bathing facilities inspires today's geothermal spa developments. Perhaps most importantly, the Roman model demonstrates how public wellness infrastructure can be both luxurious and sustainable, a lesson increasingly relevant as societies seek eco-friendly alternatives to energy-intensive modern spas. The social aspects of Roman bath culture offer valuable lessons for addressing modern urban challenges. As cities grapple with loneliness epidemics and social fragmentation, the Roman model of baths as community hubs provides an intriguing solution. Contemporary third place initiatives consciously emulate how Roman baths combined relaxation with social connection across class lines. Community wellness centers in cities like Reykjavik and Vancouver successfully incorporate Roman principles by creating welcoming, accessible spaces for diverse populations. The COVID-19 pandemic's isolation particularly highlighted the enduring human need for the kind of safe, structured social interaction that Roman baths once provided so effectively. Roman bathing rituals have gained scientific validation through modern medical research. Studies now confirm the health benefits of thermal therapy sequences, remarkably similar to Roman practices. Hot immersion for muscle relaxation, followed by cold exposure for reduced inflammation. Dermatologists acknowledge the effectiveness of oil and scraping exfoliation techniques, while hydrotherapy has become standard in physical rehabilitation. Even the Roman emphasis on beautiful environments for healing finds support in research, showing how aesthetics impact recovery rates. Modern wellness tourism destinations, like Japan's onsen towns or Germany's spa resorts, unconsciously preserve Roman concepts about the therapeutic value of communal bathing in mineral-rich waters. The business models of Roman baths surprisingly foreshadowed modern wellness industry practices. Like today's spas, Roman baths employed tiered pricing, free or cheap basic access with premium services available for additional fees. Their concession stands prefigured modern spa retail areas selling beauty products, while membership models anticipated today's gym and spa subscriptions. The Roman emphasis on creating comprehensive experiences rather than just hygiene services mirrors current wellness tourism strategies. Even their workforce structure, from skilled massage therapists to maintenance specialists, parallels modern spa staffing hierarchies. This commercial sophistication explains why Roman baths remained popular for centuries while being largely self-sustaining financially. The aesthetic principles of Roman bath design continue shaping modern architecture. Contemporary architects still study how Roman baths use natural light, with clear-story windows and oculus openings that illuminated without glare. The sequencing of spaces to create psychological journeys influences everything from museum layouts to luxury resort designs. Modern aquatic centers often incorporate Roman-inspired vaulted ceilings and water features that blur indoor-outdoor boundaries. Even the Roman blending of functionality and beauty in utilitarian elements like drains and vents remains a gold standard for designers seeking to elevate practical architecture into art. Global bathing traditions demonstrate the lasting influence of Roman practices. Turkish hammams directly descend from Roman baths, adapted to Islamic culture, maintaining similar temperature progressions and social functions. Russian banyas preserve the Roman combination of intense heat followed by cold plunges. Japanese onsen culture, though independently developed, shares the Roman appreciation for mineral springs' healing properties. Even modern swimming pool complexes unconsciously echo Roman models by combining exercise, relaxation, and social spaces. This worldwide persistence proves the universal appeal of the Roman approach to bathing as both physical cleansing and social ritual. As we face 21st century challenges of stress, isolation, and environmental concerns, Roman bath culture offers surprisingly relevant solutions. Urban planners are reconsidering Roman-style public wellness infrastructure as a tool for community building and health equity. Sustainable designers look to Roman energy-efficient heating and water systems for inspiration. Mental health professionals explore how structured thermal rituals could complement modern therapies. The Roman bath's greatest legacy may be their demonstration that human well-being requires both technological innovation and thoughtful social architecture, a lesson we're still learning 2 millennia later as we seek to create healthier, more connected societies. End of script. Sweet dreams.